So I had planned to wear one of my many Merry Krampus sweaters, as I love Krampus. I posted a Krampus set. It didn't work. No one cared about it on my Instagram the other day. Yeah, it just kind of.
What's Krampus?
Krampus?
What's Krampus?
Oh, dude, Krampus is evil Santa. Basically.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's the long and short of it.
So many
words.
long and short of it. Yeah. Krampus is like this goat guy who's like in other words, Black Pete or there's what's his name in Germany? Craig Frug or something like that.
I don't know.
Anyway,
anytime I try and incorporate a German word into it, it always just sounds hateful.
He's supposed to be the shadow of Saint Nicholas.
Okay.
So bad kids get a visit from Krampus instead of Santa Claus. Right? And Krampus will do all kinds of different things depending on the story. He'll
a lot of sodomy style stuff.
He'll put you in a pack. He'll boil you. He'll turn you into candy. He'll beat you with reeds.
So sodomy style stuff is definitely on the table then.
Sure. Yeah. You really want the sodomy style stuff.
Didn't say I wanted it.
You are pushing for it though. So
sure
what if we get a grown man to dress up as Krampus and sodomize you? Would that make you happy?
Would that be something you might be interested in?
I mean, too late. That happened years ago. But here we are.
So anyway, I had planned to do the whole Krampus sweater thing. I told Sarah originally, I have enough of these.
Krampus.
Oh, that's terrifying.
I know, right?
That is great.
I have enough of these Krampus sweaters so that I could wear one for every podcast in December.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just Satan with a red coat on.
Yeah, Krampus.
Similar.
Great.
He's more
Good
of a
times.
trickster than Satan. Because like my son said that. He's
I'm
like,
pretty
so is this
sure
guy
Satan
the devil?
is known as the original trickster.
But this guy is less
like,
about
more Satan than Satan. Is that what we're
he's
going with?
more
But, like,
he's
you know,
less
come on.
evil
He's
and
more
more fun. Like he's more like he's like a force of nature, but he doesn't necessarily like he's not doing it because he's nasty.
He's not actually malevolent.
It's hard to explain. He's more of a trickster guy.
Monkey's paw style.
Sure.
It's like Satan and Loki.
There you go. There you go. That's a great example.
Thank you.
So
I'm
anyway,
here all week.
Till
Sunday.
Till Sunday.
At which point I am not here.
I was planning on wearing a
lost my job.
Krampus sweater and wishing both of you bastards a Merry Krampus.
Yeah.
But that's been canceled.
Yeah, Krampus is canceled.
Krampus is canceled.
Krampus has been canceled by Jason Kenney.
Yeah. Krampus got fired too. Krampus is at work as well. You know what? Santa Claus is too.
Krampus is
non-essential.
applying for emergency benefits.
And Santa Claus and all of his little elves are all non-essential.
Yeah, all the elves are getting
All
jobs at
you
weed stores.
holiday fuckers can get out.
Yeah, pretty well.
Where's that red flag? All of you little holiday bastards can get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
It's 2020 and
flag.
we got no
it's
time
fine.
for a holiday spirit.
Oh, I
you
get
know,
you.
I kept playing Christmas music at work. Okay, I want to tell you a story. Last week, I was playing Christmas music at work on Tuesday, which is my last day of the week, and I don't give a shit. I'm like, it's gonna be Christmas. I don't care what happens. This year has destroyed me.
Yeah.
I had to fix my roof. It cost me $4,500.
Oh yeah.
I had to fix my car, $1,100. Had to replace the TV. That was $400. Plumbing, $500. Our washer broke last week after I said this.
Really?
Because I was like, it's gonna be Christmas no matter what happens. So I went home and I started my chores.
This sounds like a commercial. MasterCard.
Yeah,
I turned my washer on. I turned my washer on, and it soaked through the bathroom floor into the basement.
Holy shit.
So that was another $600. And then so this week at work, I was like playing the Christmas music again every day. And I said to my coworker, it's going to be Christmas, goddammit. I don't care what happens.
I need it.
And then
That's
I
all
get
there is to
home
it.
and I find out we're all unemployed. I sent a text to my coworker.
80% of us.
I said to him,
all good.
I better stop playing this Christmas music or we may all die next.
Yeah. That's the real problem.
It's not going to be Christmas this year. 2020 has made goddamn sure we're not having any fun this year.
Yeah. Yeah, this year sucks, man.
It sucks.
Remember when 2012 was the big threat?
Yeah. And, like, I don't know if you remember this or not, but they did say that the Mayans got it wrong, and it was actually 2020.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it hasn't ended, but it's ending for a lot of people.
I've been watching so many apocalypse movies that I'm realizing right now.
You need to
like
stop
I rewatched 2012.
No,
I
you gotta
watched
stop.
Greenland. I'm watching all these ones of just everything. And then I started watching Children of Men. And I was like, I gotta stop. I really gotta stop
That's
this
a
because
gooder.
this is like too close.
and that one's slow and dark.
Yeah, and just like the little things of just
No,
like the
the-
suicide kits and stuff.
Right
and I'm
now,
just like,
we
oh,
need
no.
some happiness, and there's none on offer.
yeah,
Like it's coming from nowhere.
Yeah.
Where is
No
there
one's giving
anything
it to you.
happy being made?
right here.
Yeah, right
There you
here.
go.
This
Sorry.
podcast.
This podcast,
Satire.
the
Yeah.
feel good
Satire's the
podcast
only
of 2020. Be
Yeah.
like, I know 3 guys. They're putting on a nice little podcast down at the Rocky Mountain Tattoo.
Nice and
they're
little, or not
always
how
in
to
a
describe
great
it.
mood, and they're always talking about
They're just talking
fun,
about
quirky
tattoos
things.
and feet fetishes.
Oh, come on. We rarely get to tattoos.
No, it's true.
Lately, there's been a lot of feet fetish.
It's like 13% of what we talk about, maybe.
yeah, they come up. They come up now and then. They were a great precursor to start a podcast.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, start talking. And
Yeah.
then-
You get people interested, right?
You have to.
Yeah.
It's the elephant in the room. I'm sitting here with hundreds of hours of tattoos visible. You got to say something about tattoos.
Just to appease the audience.
Tattoo.
Or-
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's one of those like you never talk
We're in a
about it and
tattoo
never
shop. There's
address
no
it.
context. Yeah.
Just it's always the underlying thing.
We would never do that.
No.
No, we'd never have
can't not.
an underlying theme that we don't address.
No, never. There's
I'm not gonna
nothing
do
in
that.
this room that's like that.
So this is a little fourth wall breaky.
Just a little.
Yeah.
So because
Which makes
this
it a
is
podcast.
Yeah.
this one's gonna come out later, so we'll have already been in this for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. 2 weeks.
So we just found out yesterday that the economy shuts down as of Sunday.
So let me slide something in there real
Slide
quick
it on
before
in.
we move in. So preface that with one of us may be dead when this one airs because suicide rates are definitely on the rise.
Well done.
It's definitely a possibility.
That's the right way to introduce this topic.
Well, we got to consider that
sure.
with people being unemployed,
Oh, yeah.
right? A certain percentage of them at Christmas are going to lose their shit.
You
Oh,
heard
dude.
the stats here, folks. 33% of us will commit suicide this Christmas.
It's just the next one after this. Just one of us is suspiciously missing. Okay? There's
And
just no word about it.
Yeah, just don't talk about
And
it.
we have the saddest,
Yeah,
most
so
monotone
somber.
podcast
Yeah.
of all time.
The mic stand is still leaning,
Still
but there's
leaning,
no
yeah,
Kevin.
because gone.
Because Kevin's sitting here alone.
There's still 2 iPads. Kevin's just randomly fact checking shit.
What else should I fact check? Lights?
Welcome to the Remy Show, episode 25. And today we're going to talk about crippling depression that
And
is
our
set in.
dystopian overlords.
Yeah. 2 hours of the driest nonsense you've ever seen.
Man, I have so many conspiracy theories that I want to go into right now.
Oh
That I
yeah,
have
that
no
might
reason
not be
to go
good
into.
territory.
But
Because
just
the
like-
problem is this leaves us open to rabbit hole logic, and I got into that a bit last time.
Fair. I just I think I gravitate towards a little bit of like meaning thinking. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
because if you ascribe it responsibility or like some sort of person has to be accountable or there's got to be some purpose, then all of a sudden it's like purpose is still involved.
Yeah.
But but the universe is still pretty much chaos,
It is mostly chaos.
and unfortunately we can't really like
Yeah.
do anything about that part. So if I were to use logic, then I would be like, well, nope, this is just chaos, and who knows what's going to happen.
That's like sitting in front of a VLT and saying, "Oh no, I've been watching the pattern, and 10 spins from now, it's going to get the thing because of the thing." Nope, you're looking for patterns and chaos.
Or just like
That's
the
not how this
lottery.
works.
The lottery, like I've seen signs.
Yeah.
I had a fortune cookie. This is my
my dead
numbers.
grandma told me her birthday would win this week.
Yeah, and like that's, I don't know, but
Well-
I kind of like hope still. It's
You
weird.
still have hope? That's
It's
silly.
weird. I know.
Hope. I mean, here's my hope. I make it through this year without dying
Oh,
Yeah.
or
I'm in there.
losing everything.
Cool.
okay.
I like
Those
both of those.
now. So when you set your expectations to a very realistic,
Your chance
set-
of success.
yeah, there's now no
skyrockets.
failure for me because there's not much further down you can go.
Especially when you can only stay in your house and do nothing anyway.
Well, and it seems as if there's just no possible way to lift yourself out of it.
No.
Like it felt like in September I was getting bored of it again, where it was like, okay, yeah, here comes this woman and she's gonna doom cry about nonsense again, and we're all moving on, and then it becomes a crippling reality again.
Yeah.
And it feels a bit like no matter how much you try, because like it's not that I don't believe something's happening. It's just that I can't be inundated with negativity every day of my life forever.
Well, get ready, because it's coming.
Because
just gonna
but
keep
I'm
going.
prone to that myself.
See,
right?
I also think it's how they're reporting it. Like, and I
Yeah,
get.
it's framed in a depressing
see,
way.
I get such a profound joy from all of this.
Yeah, but
I enjoy
I
the
don't.
chaos so much. Like when I'm with my partner and we're reading the news, I have to like hold in my laughter and my true reactions
yeah,
to
well,
it
it's absurd.
a little bit because I love the absurdity so much that when we're reading about the nonsense numbers or people's crazy reactions or anti-masker protests that are going to happen in our mall a half kilometer that way.
oh yeah.
My literal reaction is like, that's
well,
hilarious.
we've never
This is
had
gonna
more
be...
factioning than
Yeah,
we have right
exactly.
now, where
And-
we have so much othering going on right now,
Yep.
where theoretically you could have you in the middle, me far left on this, and sitting here in a mask, and Kevin making fun of me for wearing a mask, and you laughing at both of us.
That's right. Exactly.
Like there's three guys
Next
now.
week.
Yeah,
Well, 'cause
yeah.
I'm still super pro mask, but the chaos and the antisocial behavior is so absurd that it can't help but be interested and curious to watch, right?
I just like. It is interesting and curious to watch. I just wish I had it from a place of
Where you weren't
like
affected
sweet
by
ass financial stability.
Yeah.
Fair.
You know what I mean? Like if I had like a good amount of well,
Hey.
and I say that, but my grandparents when they were in Germany after the war, they were lighting their money on fire in order to heat things and cook things. So it's like money only has value as long as we have
That's
value.
Here's
right.
one. I was playing the Christmas music at work the other day, as I said, and one of those
Lighting money on
terrible
fire?
Christmas carols, the Partridge in a Pear Tree.
Oh yeah.
And my coworker says, he goes, how much do you think you could get for a partridge? I said, well, in this economy, I'm not sure. It might go pretty high right now.
Depends how hungry people
I
are.
might take the partridge over the Canadian dollar right now.
Yeah.
Like, and soon we're going to be working on the barter system of the way we're going.
Well, I'm looking at buying a cow or something.
Well, it wouldn't
Just
be
to
the
make sure
worst
I can get
investment.
by. Dude,
Certain-
seriously, like, because
See, that phrase on its own is wacky as fuck.
why? That's the way we
I'm
used to
thinking
do it.
about buying a cow. Well, but we're not how we used to be, though,
I know.
right? But so much of what we're saying these days is wacky when you take it at a far view. Like
Yes.
earlier,
I
when
mean-
you, what was it you said earlier that I was like, well, that's the wackiest shit ever. Oh, by appointment grocery shopping would
Yeah.
be amazing.
Yeah.
What has happened to us?
Well, to be fair, I was saying by appointment shopping, more like if you're going to go shop for clothes and things like
sure,
that.
but like, when you have ever said that before?
Me, I would have said that a long time ago.
Really?
I hate malls.
Oh, I don't like going into crowds, but like,
And I love by appointment shopping. Have you ever by appointment shopped? It's
No.
fantastic.
I can't say as though I
I
have.
don't think so.
Oh, it's just like you get a person with you and they help you.
Fair.
There's no one else there.
I
I've
don't
done
want
by appointment
that.
guitar shopping.
Yeah, I hate having a person.
When someone comes over to
hover
ask
while
me
I'm
if I'm
looking
doing
for something.
okay,
Oh,
I'm
but if they're
immediately
good at
annoyed.
it-
I have to hold
Get
back.
away
Like,
from
back
me.
the fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, get away from me.
I am an
I'm
adult.
looking at
I've
shit
been
here.
doing this a while now.
I
But
learned
like-
I
to
have been
read.
shopping my whole life. I don't need your help.
But
I
like
understand this is your
I'm
job.
reading reviews on the internet, and I'm sweet.
I don't need my diaper changed.
The only
I
time-
can
okay.
clean my own bum.
the only
Thanks.
time I've done it was in guitar context, right? And like the guy was so good at his job that he could watch me play and give me different guitars based on my
Right.
playing, and he was right. And it was one of those like, oh, is this what rich people get? Like
See,
when you get
it
in to
changes
go
your
shopping and you
context
get
when you
tailored
grab
suits and
when you
stuff.
grab like a pack of hot dogs and he's like, "Would you also like buns?" Right? See,
Well, okay, maybe
same
not.
thing.
Maybe not by appointment grocery shopping, but at the same time, we could talk diet then. And all of a sudden, it's like if you go into a grocery store and you have a dietitian in there with you,
So they're gonna have a personalized dietitian.
hell yeah.
At Walmart.
Hell yeah,
Who's
Walmart's
like,
got a dietitian.
Maybe you
He-
should put those
she's
wieners
450
down.
pounds.
Just because you're broke doesn't mean you have to be
She's on her
obese.
rascal.
Okay?
But
You'll
you know
have
what I
him
mean?
there giving you little advice. Maybe you don't need the
Oh,
wieners.
I know what I'm describing. I'm describing the island. That's bad.
yeah.
The island?
Yeah.
where they get harvested for their organs.
Yeah, that's not good.
Can I have some bacon?
Speaking of personal assistants, though, we have these things these days.
Yeah, that's
soon.
fair.
You'll be trying to like add chips to your shopping list, and Siri will be like,
No.
I was thinking instead, maybe.
We
Kale
tried
chips.
this
Yeah.
with the glass bottle discussion where you were like, we'll have guys at the front that will shame you if you get the bottled water. And I was like, okay, why can they sell you the things they're going to shame you for buying?
Well, that's a great point.
Free market capitalism.
That's a great point.
Because this is what Siri would be doing. Maybe you shouldn't get those chips. Maybe you shouldn't have them here then. Like, maybe don't have the chips.
Yeah, but
you're going to be upset at me for eating
Then
them.
a guy like me walks along, and I need a fucking 3,000 calorie hit of potato chips every now and then to keep the calories in me, you know?
Yeah, you are
So
who
potato
they're
chips.
technically marketing to.
Yeah.
But who they get is the people that do not need
Are
it.
also buying Pepsi.
The
Oh,
people
man.
who are just hanging on.
I wonder, like, I know, like, we'll talk mass rebellions in this respect, but like, what if you just got rid of pop?
We should. I've been an advocate of that
Pop
for
is-
years
Now,
now.
it's
Pop
easy
has
for me
gotten
'cause I
worse
love
than
water.
cigarettes, I think.
Oh, 100%.
Like, and then people don't
let's-
understand how bad pop is.
100%.
I want a cigarette every
Like,
now
we
and
looked
then.
this up
Like-
the other day because
No,
Sarah's
he's-
trying to
he's
quit
saying that
Pepsi.
pop is worse than cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
I completely
Sarah's
agree.
trying to quit Pepsi
'Cause we give it to
she's been
kids.
drinking Pepsi her whole life, Diet
Gross.
Pepsi.
See, that's even worse.
And
Diet
but
Pepsi's
people think
terrifying.
that, oh, it's got no calories, so it'll make me fat. Well, no, what it does is it makes you crave more.
And it makes you obese. Aspartame has something in it that switches it from going from overweight to obesity immediately.
Yeah.
Wait,
so
what?
Yeah.
no calories isn't all.
Aspartame's crazy
Because
in
like
what it
people
does to the
think if
body.
they're cutting calories,
Yeah.
then they're going to lose weight.
Well, I mean, technically, yes.
But
Like, there's
that's
that
not all
guy-
that matters.
There's that guy who was eating just Oreos and Doritos at a calorie deficit
Oh.
just to prove a point, and yeah, he proved a point.
Anytime your diet is like, well, for breakfast I have Doritos, and for dinner I treat myself to Oreos. It's
well,
like,
if you think about
I
it,
don't
like,
think it's treating yourself to Oreos
No.
if that's your entree.
yeah, it's
it's
gotta
just
be
got
pretty
like a
sad
fork
to
and a
like,
knife, and he's cutting it up on a plate. Just
dry too.
Mm.
No,
That sounds
no
like
milk
the,
for Dunkin'.
Sounds at the end of days. Like,
I mean, we're coming up to
we
here,
are.
so, you know.
I had a guy comment the other day just on my post. He's like, retirement helmets are gonna look great in 50 years. There's gonna be face tattoos everywhere and not a war story in the bunch. I'm like, yeah.
There'll be lots of war stories by
What's your fucking point, buddy? We've been at the fall of Rome for decades.
Yeah.
How is this
No,
news
there's gonna
to
be
you?
one unified war story.
Of course we
That's
don't.
it.
Of course there was no reply, but I'm like, we've been at the fall of Rome for
Yeah.
decades. We have more problems than what people wear on their faces.
yep.
Like, what the hell?
Well, I mean, like,
Of course we have no war stories. We haven't had any meaningful struggle in our lifetime. That's
Canada.
why we're so upset about these things. Because we haven't had a real problem.
Yep.
And I'm sorry if people don't like to hear that, but this is not a real problem. A real problem is what you were talking about with your grandparents.
Yeah.
They're burning their money for warmth.
I always think about it like my Opa used to tell me stories because he was conscripted when he was 15.
Yeah.
And I remember him telling me that at 12 and being like, yeah, so like 3 years from now. And it's like, whoa, what? I'm 12. What are you talking about?
That's
Yeah, this is it.
gnarly.
Yeah.
We don't have real problems anymore.
And he was conscripted to carry dead bodies.
I think in third world,
That's all he did.
And,
Wow.
and some smaller countries, they have real problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
know people who have
Yeah.
had real problems.
Yeah.
Some of the people we get at work are from different countries,
Yeah.
like Nepalese and who we got a few other
Man,
different
people in
ones.
Nepal, they went through some crazy stuff.
Yeah, and they have a better work ethic, and they don't complain about anything.
Well, yeah. They
They probably
have
complain about the
comparison.
stupid white people they have to work with.
And
And I
understandable.
don't really blame them
And they're
because we're
justified in that
useless compared to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure are.
But that's where, like, so one could argue that it's probably a good thing that we don't have all of those crazy struggles. But
Sure.
obviously, there is something to it shaping
But
character.
it's made us soft and decadent. And it should
Yeah.
be no surprise that when you're soft and decadent, you start putting weird shit on your face.
So, real tiny sidebar on that subject. If we're going to prepare ourselves for
Gender
the water
goes
wars,
away when we're at the end.
If
Hey?
we're going to prepare ourselves for the water wars, should we be tattooing our hands and faces camo?
Probably.
I'm
Should we
sure
start
it's been done
today?
already. So we've probably already charted that ground. Like I've told you about him, the guy who's full blue.
Yep.
He's the blue guy.
Yep.
He's just hanging out blue. He's just doing wholesome things on Instagram as a blue guy.
So
Whole body blue out.
So the only reason I would say that there isn't one of those guys out there, the camo
Guy?
man.
Hard to
Because
saturate
someone
that.
shot him by accident while hunting.
No, because I think preppers are more. I think preppers are usually fairly religious.
That sounds right. Well, I mean,
Well, maybe
they're
he's
certainly
not-
Republican as balls.
Wouldn't that be weird?
Fringe
To have
people
like a
always
super
exist.
liberal.
though.
Well, no, to have a super liberal prepper.
Because like you will have super religious people
He's just
who
got
are
9 homeless
Yeah.
guys living
tattooed.
in his
Gender's
prepper.
a
I had a-
construct. I
I
have
had a
all
s-
these rifles.
I had a super
What?
religious guy attack me on Instagram the other day for wearing the clothing of the devil or something, and he's
Oh,
got
yeah.
tattoos all over him. I'm like, how are you like what is going on
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
Your
Well, I think-
hypocrisy is showing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, you have a black sleeve.
I love
Because I have a skull tattoo here.
Yeah, yeah.
It's somehow devilry.
I love your sleeves. You know how tattoos are talked about in the Bible? Not in a positive light.
People
Not
can
great.
Although they
people
do
can
say that-
bend anything to match what they want.
I remember,
That's the thing.
and like back in my religious days, I went to a church that everybody was tattooed, and one of the ways they justify it is that Jesus is supposed to come back, warrior Jesus, and he's got tattoos.
Oh, Warrior Jesus is a
No.
real badass, is
He's got different tattoos. Like they don't talk about it that way, but it's like written
But the
on
way
his
they talk,
thigh and all that stuff.
Jesus is friends with like the worst people, right?
Yeah.
It's true.
So
Well,
I'd
he
be
hung
one
out
of
with
his
whores and
boys,
lepers.
right? I'd be one of his boys.
Yeah,
Like, hey, check out Blackout Remy. This is my guy right here.
I
this is
mean,
my bro.
not many people get the title of the guy who tattooed Jesus.
Sure.
So now I've got a
Well,
new
I
goal.
think God would have tattooed Jesus.
I did tattoo Jesus.
Ah, there you
Different thing, I think, so.
go. You've tattooed Jesus on people, so
I sure have. Yeah.
There you go.
What about praying hands? Have you done praying hands yet?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, how'd
Definitely.
that go?
Great.
They're sometimes tricky, right?
Hands in general.
Yeah.
Hands are the
Yeah, I've
hardest
done
thing to
some
draw.
good hands lately.
I
It's
know
been,
you
it's
have.
been a party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a party.
Yeah. I'm doing a face tattoo today.
Are you?
Yeah, I sure am.
Like
Yours?
what? A real face
On my
tattoo,
face?
or
No.
or
Aw.
like a sideburn, or
Yeah,
like
sideburn.
Yeah.
Sideburn with
That's
well,
like face tattoo vanilla.
Well, he's getting. Well, we're doing an
is.
axe
Sarah
on his
has one.
sideburn, and he might be doing some script above his eyebrow too.
I think the ones that's like right here is like I want a face tattoo, but I don't want to make waves. How do I get
No,
that
this
done?
guy wants
How
to
do
make
I not want
waves.
to make waves?
This guy is definitely into making waves.
Like Sarah, I want a little moon right here. Just right here. I don't want anyone to see it if I don't want them to, right? I can
people
put
are gonna
cover
see
up
it.
on it, right?
I'm gonna.
a face tattoo cover up.
And then now she's like, I wish I had made that moon a little bit bigger. I'm like, well,
It's on you for life.
I think she actually could make it bigger. It's done in such a way that it could be
Yeah.
kind of
Amplified.
broadened.
Well,
yeah.
moon's a nice easy shape.
Well, like that's always the first. It wasn't my first. My first were right here.
Yeah.
I had the stars, but I didn't give a shit. I was like, I want to make waves. I don't care.
I am waves.
I am waves. I am waves. God damn it!
I am
Give
the
me the
waves.
stars.
I've never tattooed that close to someone's eye. I feel like you'd have to do something to make sure you don't start splashing ink into their eye. You know?
Yeah, you do. You have to
Yeah.
put a cotton pad over their eye
You do.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
or tape them shut.
One day I would like to
obviously,
get.
Lonnie never did that.
No.
He
I've
just
never
went for
seen
it.
eyes taped
Threw some
shut.
whiskey in there and then
Yeah.
kept on going.
But I want to do my eyelid tattooed.
Yeah,
Eventually.
so we had a guest artist here and he did some eyelids while he was here, and that was like, I was scared. Like,
That's just
Yeah,
so
yeah.
thin.
Yeah.
well,
Like, what's your
or
needle
it's-
depth got to be like?
Oh, you're
It's
Feather
way
light.
thicker than you'd think.
You're not,
Is it?
But you're not playing depth with something like that. You're tickling.
That's
That's
what
exactly
I'm saying.
what he's
That's,
talking
that's what I'm saying. What's
Yeah.
your needle depth got to
Yeah.
be like?
So
You're
he
not,
did-
you're not thinking depth. You're thinking of just
You're grazing the
whisking
skin.
across.
Yeah,
It's-
you're right
it's-
on the s-
It's the same as when you're doing. If you've got kind of like a medium wash on your needle and you're doing the light tones in a
Yeah.
in a portrait like cheek
That's what I would
here,
always
you're
imagine.
just
You
barely-
can't go in too deep.
You're flicking across the top of the skin.
He was saying too that like it's not necessarily that it's too deep, because you have more tissue there than you think.
It's not poking pressure onto the fucking eyeball.
No, it's just that this is super jiggly,
Oh,
right?
It's
So
like the stretchiest skin.
yeah. So it was like when you have to stretch it.
It's like imagine
stretch this
tattooing your
way,
scrotum.
And then it was just like to it would jiggle so much that it's like you had to brush it rather than like.
There's certain parts of this industry that still kind of gross me out.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Like
for me.
tattooing Adam's apples, I kind of hate it. You're like, because it's kind of a bleedy area.
It's not a great place to get
suddenly
tattooed either.
You're holding someone's fucking throat like this. You're stretching it all out, and you see them swallow as blood is like dripping down off their
The
Adam's
swallow
apple.
is
Like,
compulsionary.
it's not
like,
great.
Yeah.
You can't help but feel like you need to swallow.
of course,
you have like
yeah.
a phlegm buildup. It happens to me every time.
Well, someone's got both their hands on your neck doing.
It's very odd. Like
Yeah.
your whole throat's filling up with phlegm. It's like your nose is draining out. Mm-hmm. Like it's one of the oddest feelings of getting tattooed is getting your right here tattooed.
Well, I mean, any of that area, you're technically like when that's your you have a thyroid gland in there, right? So maybe you are massaging something in there that's making it kind of drain.
It's hard if you're doing lines there because you.
Yeah.
Again, my first
lines are so
piece was
specific.
lined. Like my first original, all of this was lined. Everything in here was lines, and then fill later.
I saw one the other day that made me want to get my throat tattooed, which is like all these filigrees, like these stone-looking filigrees up the guy's neck and down. But I just kept thinking, like, man, I don't think I could sit through it.
Well,
I don't think I could be still enough.
Well, you're committing to hours and hours of super like immediate discomfort.
Yeah.
Immediate
It's-
discomfort plus pain.
Well, and if I didn't want to do it all in one go,
you're
I'd
doing
have to
multiple-
ghost line it.
Yeah.
Which is fucking
There
worse.
are but a few things that I dread in tattooing, and one of them is blacking out my throat because it's just so awful. It's not the most painful thing ever, moment to moment.
It's just uncomfortable.
It's like I have different ways of explaining pain. Moment to moment, it's not the most painful thing ever. But overall, your neck feels burnt the whole time. Like it feels really like, and it's also very sharp. Like it kind of feels like someone's dragging a razor blade around your throat because there's just
Sounds
almost
great.
no resistance in there. Like it's
Yeah.
just, and there's so many weird changes. Like when you get under here, it's so bad because it just feels like it's digging in.
And your monkey brain has evolved to protect this area
Oh.
above all others.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
so hard not to
Gotta protect your
pull.
neck.
Yeah.
Like I have a great will, and anyone who ever sees my tattoo videos are always like, that guy's sitting like a rock and he's getting
know.
his armpit tattooed. But like there's a natural thing that happens without even thinking about it where your body tries to do this when someone's tattooing you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
your head is like,
Try and move away.
and so like Lee was like, "Argh," like pulling my head down. And I'm like, I understand why you're doing this. I can't do anything about it. I'm trying consciously to do this for you because I understand the difficulty of stretching someone's neck and saturating it properly.
Yep.
Just why this had to be done a couple times. So people are always like, how is your work so saturated and smooth? I'm like, well, because I didn't just do it once.
Yeah.
I've done this
Yeah.
so many times.
Yeah.
Because like I've gotten like almost accusatory statements like, how is your black so smooth?
Yeah.
People are picturing you with a Sharpie going over
Well,
it every time.
Well, because a lot of people only do it once and they have
Yeah.
a patchy arm or they have a patchy neck or a patchy whatever, and they're so scared to go through it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's like I survived it.
I find it amazing how many people don't go back in for touch-ups.
Yeah, that's amazing to me.
Like, well, I'm one. Like I finished my left arm and I was like, okay, whatever. I know it needs touch-ups.
Yeah.
But like, let's keep going.
This is what I said in my vlog the other day is, white ink is going to fade. Everything fades.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Everything fades.
Everything does.
Well,
Here's what it comes down to is how much you want it to stand out.
Yeah.
You can wear faded tattoos and they can look great. Mm-hmm. Your tattoos look fine. Nobody is telling you and you don't care.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying you have to fix those.
Yeah.
But they do fade. You're not going to get a tattoo that stays the same forever. I don't
No,
care
no,
who
no.
does it.
No.
It will age well, right? Like Rick's chest piece here, like people will be, oh, you touched that up. It looked good still. I didn't need
But give
to.
it 30 years.
Sure.
We've all had somebody walk in and be like, hey, I'm looking to fix up this old thing. And you're like, oh, this was probably a fine tattoo one time. An artist worked really hard to make this tattoo just right. And now I can't tell what it is. So modern tattoos will likely age much better.
That's what I was gonna
Well,
ask.
things have developed.
Give it 30 years, it's still living flesh.
I just
and
it's
gonna
become.
change.
Yeah.
I've gotten so many weird things that have bothered me over the last few years. Like, because there's so many different people screaming their opinions on everything. Right? The race
where?
thing. The race thing was one. That was the first real bad one for me to tackle. Oh, he's trying to be black. Oh, it's the reverse Michael Jackson and all that nonsense. But now stepping into more ephemeral arts, as I'll call them, the white ink and the black on black and stuff. Now it's, oh, that'll never stay. Oh, that'll never stay. Oh, what a waste of money.
You're right.
Like all that shit. It's like, okay, like now this is the thing.
Yeah, you're like, yes, it probably won't stay well. And what's your point?
Oh, well, you can do it again. Like it can all be done again.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. People just don't have that thought anymore.
And this is how you push the envelope. This is how you see what is possible.
Yeah.
This is how you tell
This is
someone.
now. I'm already done. So
Yeah.
now I'm just playing.
Yeah. And this rose in your hand is a great example of if someone in the future asks Ricky, hey, can you do this, this, and this? Ricky can say, well, I've done this before, and here's what it looked like in 2 weeks. Here's what it looked like in 2 years.
Yeah.
This moon, it looks better than it did last week.
Can I see?
So
Yep.
Rick is right.
Yeah, he is right.
It's
Yeah.
actually coming back to life,
Cool.
which is when he said that last week, I was
Yeah.
like, is he just saying this or is there some science to what he's saying?
Oh, and like knowing the way that the ink settles and skin works and all that stuff, it does make a lot of sense.
Well, it's still healing.
Yeah.
But like parts of it have become more white over the last week.
Yep, it would make
Because it
sense.
was like really black.
Yeah.
Like it was like, wow, there's a few spots of white and that detail's gone. There's a detail that came back to life.
Yeah.
Like this little crater thing that was put in here
Yeah.
is now a thing again,
That's sweet.
but it vanished for a week.
That's what I was like. Anytime I'm seeing some of these like more realistic things, like what we had on the Remy
Yeah, yeah.
X or whatever, I'm just wondering. Like, I'm sure it'll come back and it'll be real subtle,
Yeah.
and that's cool. You know what I mean?
Well,
but
but-
at least it's there.
But you can always do it again.
Well, but I don't know if you'll ever really get it more like white ink in general. It's never going to be more than just a little bit lighter
That's
than your
fine.
skin, right? So
But part of the fun is experimenting.
Yeah.
Part of the
Oh.
fun is trying something that you didn't know would work for sure.
Let me
Yeah.
tell you, I never thought it would look as white as the inside of that cup.
yeah,
No one thought that.
No,
Yeah.
no, it was never
No
the
one
plan.
ever thought that. It has to look like that when it's
Yeah.
first done, or
Yeah.
else it won't even be there when it's healed.
Because we all know we're just adding white ink
Right.
to skin that already has black ink in it.
So like
It's
some
not gonna
people's
be white.
expectation is that you go in with that super white day one that I posted, and that I think it's going to stay like that.
Yeah.
Like that's what people would assume. Like, oh, he thinks it's going to look like. No one said that.
Well, I think there is something to like when you take a photo of something, the expectation of it being like that forever is like, oh, what's up? The expectation is there for some reason, and like people get. I don't know if it's just inexperience or if that's the way that our brains are wired now, but people's understanding of how things will end up being after a year are bad. Like they
Yeah,
just
they're
don't
bad.
know.
They're very bad.
And-
And like people aren't very smart. Like they're really not very smart. And it sounds mean, but like I've seen so much more how dumb most people are by having so many comments laid at me when I get especially when I get posted on like that Ink magazine or the Unilad stuff, like or my TikToks. The broader population is very, very simple-minded.
Well, I think like competence in an area would lower the want to do things like comment on a post.
Sure.
Because like
Also-
if you're a guy that's covered in tattoos, then knowing all the things that come with that, you're going to be far less likely to be throwing shade online. But
in
the
general,
guy that has like two, and then now all of a
That's
sudden
what
thinks
I'm
he's an
saying.
expert, then I think it's like, hey, that's never going to stay because I heard that somewhere.
Tattoos are
yeah,
an
some
excellent
guy
example of-
told me something once, and now I'm gonna repair
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, like everything that we see now, it's like you have a what is that
But-
Dunbar, No, not Dunbar.
The Dunning-Kruger effect?
Dunning-Kruger, thank you.
Okay, go on.
So the Dunning-Kruger effect is if you
I know
have
what it is.
a little amount of information on
Yeah.
something, you have
You're
a
the
high amount of
expert.
confidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the more information that you have on a subject, your confidence lowers.
What you're talking about here is the known unknowns and the unknown unknowns, right? And that's kind of the difference. Is as more as you, as once you have a little bit of information to a subject, you feel like you have lots of known knowns, and you have a few known unknowns, but you are completely unaware of all the things you don't know.
I like to think of myself as just smart enough to know how dumb I am.
And a lot of people are way too dumb to ever know how dumb they are.
Ooh,
Like I
interesting.
am
And that's where
here
the unknown unknowns come
with
in.
like this vast potential that I can probably never reach,
Yep.
but I can at least see that I'm not there. Where a lot of people will get here and they think they're here.
And
Yeah.
we're all entering the stage in our lives where we're starting to realize that we can only specialize so many times in our lives.
Oh, yeah, there's only so many places.
When you're 21, you're like, I think I'll be an astronaut and a world traveler and a deep sea crab fisherman, and like you're like, I have time for all these things.
You have done all those things.
Yeah, I
We
was about
talked
to say,
about this last
that's
week.
like
Sure
just a
did.
portion of his jobs.
What are you talking about? Of course I worked on an elevator.
At 21, I thought that.
Not only did I do that, I worked on an elevator while I was catching chickens. But I didn't do any of that when I was an electrician, though.
The only thing that I would say about that is like, if you wanted to,
Sure.
like a lot of people delve into this idea of like the hypothetical with absolutely no follow through, and then that to me always proves like, well, you didn't want to.
But I'm someone
so it's like if you
follow through. I'm cursed with aggressive follow through, right?
and that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
if that same 21-year-old was like, I want to do all these things and had aggressive follow through, maybe they do.
But no,
That's me. I get scared when I get committed to something because I'll go full bore at it. And sometimes it's
That's
not
right.
the right thing. And then before long, you're like, wow, why did I do this? And man, did I ever do it.
But what you learn once you
howdy.
start playing follow through, what you learn is that each thing, if you want to become proficient at something, it's gonna take you 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, of course.
So therefore, the number of things you can become proficient
finite.
is super finite.
Except for the fact that we live in the future and we're all going to live to be 500 or whatever.
I'll give you an example beyond the time constraints.
I don't want
If
to
you-
live to be 500.
if you want to be-
Please don't sign me up for that.
If you want to be a
Already
tripper
did.
and live with the hippies and be a tripper,
Yep.
and then you come back and decide you want to be a firefighter, those two things clash because as a firefighter, you can't have a history of drug use.
Well, that's going to change.
Yeah, that won't be a thing forever.
Perfect. Maybe be a firefighter someday.
Hey,
in that
if we're
300-year
doing what
range,
you were
we'll be
saying, within
firefighters.
5 years, we're all going to be doing mushrooms, yet
Yeah.
we can't do that and be a firefighter. These
Well,
things
to be
clash.
fair,
They
weed
sure
is
do.
legal, but our cops can't smoke it.
There we go.
That's not going to hold up.
Which is silly because they can't even take CBD.
This is
Oh my goodness.
parts of our world
But
not
that's
keeping
changing, I guess, from what
parts
they
of
were
our
saying.
world just haven't kept pace with other parts.
Dude,
They will
I just
iron
learned
out.
something the other day. Well, yesterday. Hungary,
Sure,
like the country of
Yeah.
Hungary.
you're
not the
hungry.
feeling.
Yes, eat a burger.
Being gay is illegal.
It's
Still
illegal.
I think
Illegal.
there's lots of places like that.
I know.
So
but that's
theoretically,
crazy
if
to
you're
me.
masturbating to some gay porn, they can arrest you.
Well, so one of the
I
guys.
think they'll arrest you. I think they just murder you in the streets, don't
That's
they?
the story that's out right now. Is like a senior political official just got arrested at a 25-man gay orgy.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that, but he wasn't just an official. He was opposing gay people.
Well, because you have to be
All right.
Yeah.
to
You're not
be a
allowed to-
politician. There,
I
you
guess
have to
you
be
would
anti-gay.
be you would be out of power if you were to ever
Oh, yeah.
say anything else.
Well, and it's like that in Russia, I believe.
Oh yeah, Russia's really
Can't remember.
anti-gay.
I know that like.
In Russia, there's Jehovah's Witnesses in prison right now just for their beliefs.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about prison camps, we could talk about the big elephant in the room that is China.
I would love to, but
Can we
go
talk
on.
about FEMA camp conspiracies?
I don't like those.
Why not?
Please tell me you've seen them.
No.
No, you know all those abandoned Walmarts and like
What are you talking about?
superstores and different places that haven't put anything else in. Where
Our old Save on Foods over
There are
here.
a lot of people that think that there are emergency FEMA camp plans and setups
In case
throughout
we get out of
throughout
control.
The U.S. in case of civil unrest, they have mass internment available.
No,
Yeah.
I think the Army's got that covered.
Yeah, I was like, that is
National
the...
No,
Guard
I know,
comes in
but
and bam.
I can't believe you haven't seen this. This was
Yeah.
a huge thing a couple of years ago. Like, it was all over.
So like the whole city of Detroit is one of these camps, you mean?
Basically.
I got you.
And then
the
there's
moral
all
of the
these,
story is, okay, so if you're setting up these possible refuges, safe places, maybe it's for mass civil, I don't know, imprisonment, or maybe it's in case there's a bloody tsunami. Like,
I mean, the
What about all those-
Superdome.
do you know about all those coffins that are just ready to go? There's all
No.
these like metal crates that are ready to go. I don't
there
know
is.
all of it, but like it's people in the FEMA conspiracy camps think that this is where they'll bury us in these giant
As-
holes with these.
Dude, like,
if
okay,
we're-
so
if
what
we're
happened
gonna
in New
mass
York?
kill people, we're not putting them in coffins. Like,
Well,
that's not
no,
how
they-
mass graves
I'm
work.
not saying I buy into it. I'm just
Yeah,
telling
you're
you,
right.
like there's a whole world in that conspiracy theory.
We've seen great evidence of that not being
Yeah,
the case.
I've been to genocide places. It's just
Genocide
it's just
places.
holes in the ground.
Yeah.
Just like
It's
a
just-
brochure. Great genocide places around the world.
This is a weird star maps. But like, what was it? What were you talking about? FEMA thing.
Mass burials,
Like,
mass graves.
I think now with this type of thing, if you just simply look at some of the scarier parts of what bureaucracy has to deal with, possibilities and things like that, it's hard for the layman to even consider those types of things, right? Like, because if you're dealing with the possibility of increased death from anything, there's a whole bunch of infrastructural things that have to be talked about. Mass, like what to do with bodies, like what happened with the New York hospital, and people started seeing drone footage of where they actually put dead bodies that are unclaimed. It was,
Yeah.
and it's like this mass row of like where they dig it out
Yep.
and then they stack
Body
like
bags, probably.
pine. Well, no, they're
It
they're
scares
pine
the
boxes.
hell out of people.
Yeah, but that's the reality.
Why
that's the
wouldn't-
reality of like, oh, this is.
You
this
know,
is
your
exactly
mind
what it
goes
would
to
be.
like weird serial killer logic. Like, who was that guy, the clown? William H.
It.
No, there's a
Oh, Macy.
Macy,
John.
where
John
he
Wayne
had all
Gacy?
those bodies buried under his crawl space. Like, it just gets to that unsettling place where it's just bodies on bodies on
Yeah.
bodies, and you can almost imagine the smell of it, and it's just like, ooh,
I'm good.
horror movie.
Yeah.
Right? But you're dead. You're not going to smell any of those other guys. You know what? I'll say it right now. I don't care where I'm buried or when.
No, goodness.
Cremated.
The
Let's do
three
it.
of us, if we get
Cremated.
thrown on
Spread
top of
me
one
out there.
another, sure, I'll be dead. What do I care?
yeah.
My
I-
consciousness has left me.
I just wish that, like, I know for legal reasons they have to do whatever, like the embalming and all that stuff. But it actually weirds me out that we don't decompose anymore.
Right.
Like that's super
right.
weird that you can be dead and then they dig you up 40 years later and you look the same. Like that's creepy. That is like, and that actually is what happens. Because they have to be, especially if you're in like a legal case or something like that, they have to be able to dig you up and have you kind of similar to where you were.
Crazy.
You can't just decompose. But like, it makes so much more sense to actually decompose and like have nutrients
yeah.
go back to the earth. And,
Yeah,
like,
good.
Well,
God.
especially
Cycle that
considering
stuff.
we spend our whole lives decomposing.
Yeah.
Like right
as
now,
well
the
keep on
three of
going.
us, we're all decomposing in this room.
What is it? Our telomeres are shortening as we speak.
Yeah.
Well, maybe yours
Well,
are. Mine
tomorrow
are
you're not.
telomeres
Tomorrow
as long as ever.
you will
Stretch it
be
out.
incrementally older and worse than you are today.
Oh yeah,
We're
this
past
is the
the
youngest
point.
I'll ever be.
Oh, for sure. We're past. All three of us are past the point of our prime.
Hey now,
Hey.
speak for yourself.
My prime's coming up here. It'll be
My
I
fine.
mean,
are
if you
falling
want to
off.
go biologically, in my case, I don't really feel like I've peaked yet, in my own opinion. But biologically,
I haven't
I
peaked
have.
financially.
Oh God. Yeah, I'm definitely jumped the shark about last year. It's all downhill from here. They may as well cancel Remy now. I'm not coming up this year. I'll be lucky if I have a house by the end of this.
Oh, dude. This is the
I've owned it for 7 years, but this is the first time I've worried about being broke.
well, yeah. I don't know if you have to really worry about that yet. The only thing that you really have to worry about is if finances get really tough and your house value goes down.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Then-
if your house value
then you-
tanks, I don't
then
know where
you-
you bought in.
7 years ago,
You probably bought in pretty high.
That's pretty high.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been right before the crash, right?
Yeah, it was before the crash.
And like we thought the crash was bad. Like, good grief. If I had money right now, I'd be buying so many houses. Seriously,
Yeah,
I just
it's a
buy
good
houses.
time to buy.
Is right now the time, or is
bad
6
time to
months from now the
sell.
time?
There's no way of knowing that.
So I've actually done some poking around on the market here, and not the market valuations, but the city's valuations as far as the property value have actually increased from last year for the most part.
Yeah, of course.
Some of the houses I've been looking at are priced exactly where the city values them, and they're worth, $10,000, $15,000 more than they were 2 years ago.
Not the ones that are going up right now, though.
Right,
If you start looking
right.
at like the one that we're talking about.
Yeah.
If you start looking at the just listed ones, they're starting to take that into consideration because there's a lot of houses on the market, and I think there's some
the
group
number of
that's
houses in the
buying
market
them
have dropped by 40%.
from last year. Yeah, last
Yeah.
year was the most houses they ever had.
Yeah, there was dang near 1,000.
It was like 1,000.
I think that a lot of people
Dang near.
know
Dang
that
near 1,000
right
houses.
now there aren't a whole lot of people who want to move.
That's right.
I think there's a lot of people that are trying to get out of renting situations. 'Cause,
Oh, sure.
The thing that did you take advantage of the mortgage deferral?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so-
and I wish I could do it again right
You probably will be able to do it again.
now. We'll
More
see
than
about
more
that.
than likely. Like, who are you with?
Scotiabank.
Yeah, more than likely. Like
We'll see.
no, I'm like
I mean, Christ, I'll take any help that's offered right now.
no, I can almost guarantee you that Scotiabank's going to offer another thing. Like, and especially for them because they reported losses for the first time in like ever, and they're in the process of restructuring so they can get back to whatever. And they're like, anyways, doesn't really matter. But the one thing that happened was that renters, like I rent, and I didn't get no breaks.
Well, I know.
And whereas like they were supposed to, because I know that their mortgage got deferred, and they were supposed to kick that back to us.
Well, why would they? It's all profit.
But this is what people are realizing. Whereas like, okay, so if I'm renting, I have no real recourse.
Well, I realized that years ago.
Like my landlord basically just said to me like, well, we'll try and work with you, but you have to pay all of it.
It's an interesting thing that happened when I bought my house. Because my parents, both my mother and my father, were very broke their whole lives.
Yeah.
My father actually resented that I was able to do it. And he
doubt
was not happy with me. He was, boy, it must be nice.
Yeah.
And my mom didn't think I'd be able to do it. She was like doubting me the whole way.
Wow.
Are you sure you can do this? This is a bad idea.
Well, they can't not
Those are
look
some-
at you like a kid. Like I'm
Those
going
are
through
some
that
pretty
with
toxic attitudes.
I'm
Well,
going
but
through that
yeah,
with my
this
parents now
is-
too. They keep
Goodness.
like because we want a small house. Like that's what I want.
My
I
house
want a
is pretty
small
small.
house, and my parents don't get it. They don't understand that we want a small house. They just keep telling us, "Well, maybe you could save longer and buy the house you really want." Like, what the hell are you talking about? This is exactly
really
what I want. I want a
okay?
small house.
Yeah.
Here's what I really want. I don't want to be paying someone else's bills for my entire fucking
That's
life.
Yeah.
the trick, buddy.
That's what I
That's the
want to do.
trick.
I don't
Yeah.
care how big it is. You give me a popsicle stand and tell me this is yours.
Yes.
Take care of it.
And it-
100%. And it just happens now any postage stamp is $250,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm buying a small freaking
Yeah,
thing.
100%.
Just
And that's
something that
all-
works. It
Yeah.
meets my needs. Cool. We're
Yeah.
sweet here.
That's all I want. And like, but I don't understand how parents can't see it that way.
Well, when I got my house, my mother was, okay, well, you own your house, but it's got these problems, and this thing's not quite
Yep.
right, and ba ba ba. And we had a
Sorry,
guy,
Mom.
we had a family friend come in who's a contractor, and he's looking at the house, and he's like, well, it's got good bones. It needs this and this and this. And I sat there and was like, yeah, it wasn't the nicest house, but single income, and
Yeah.
I'm a cook, and and he goes, no, Jer, this is more than most people will ever do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you have nothing to be ashamed
No,
of.
good
you should
Lord.
be proud of anything
Yeah.
to own this.
Big time.
And yes, it's not perfect, but again, this is more than most people will
Yeah.
ever do.
Heck yeah.
Most people will rent their whole lives. It's
Yeah.
fucking sad.
Well, and most people, like, I think for the longest time, even like I was in that boat of just like, oh, I guess this is what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, I just do this forever.
Well, that's our generation got a little bit shafted that way.
Yeah, I think
just,
so too.
Just the time we grew up in, where when we were 20, the wages we were making were pathetic.
Yeah.
Like, freaking pathetic.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
I-
kids can come out of high school and make $15, $20 an
Slightly
hour.
different version of that for me.
Yeah.
I was actually making more money then than I am now.
What?
Not dollar per dollar.
Okay, yeah.
But like when I was 19, I was making, I think, $6 less than I am now.
Wow.
But then my wage was twice minimum wage. I
Yeah.
was paid very, very well
Right,
because
right.
early on cooking, I became basically a leader
Yep.
and running shit
Yep.
very early. And I've just been in that spot for that long. Like I've been doing that forever.
Yeah.
But like when you get to the top and you're working with monkeys all the time, it's okay that those monkeys are working for less than half what you're making.
That's right.
Because without you there, they can't do anything.
Yeah.
So now where we've got the minimum wage hiked up so much higher, the room for deviation is
Exactly.
tightened
It's
up.
shrinking.
So top and bottom is closer. Now I'm still top I am still top, but that top is worth less than it used to be.
So this is an example I like to use. When I was making minimum wage back when I was 18, 19, I was making $5 an hour, $5.25 an hour, and electricians at the time were making, 30 to 35 bucks an hour.
Yep.
Which was 7 times minimum wage.
Yeah.
Then I got to be a journeyman electrician, and I would make an average of 30 to 32 bucks an hour, which was at the time like triple minimum wage.
Yeah.
And then at one point I actually moved back to New Brunswick where I was making $24 an hour as a journeyman, and minimum wage was like $12, $13 an hour. Suddenly I'm less than
the
double.
tails have evened out. So when I was making $13.50 when I was 19, because that's how much I made, and I felt like I made $13.50. Like that felt heavy. It felt good.
$13.50 was good back then.
Right? That felt like a weapon.
Yeah.
Like I could do some work with that. And then I spent a long time making around that amount of money.
Yep.
And then I watched minimum wage kind of
Catch up with you.
catching up to me. And then I got moved ahead, but it was you were never able to give that same amount because the whole company, or the company's having to pay all of their employees more.
Yeah.
Yep.
They have less room to pay you.
Like
even
I remember
more.
this with because when I was running the guitar store or whatever, I remember going through this hike. Well, as the minimum wage went up, and like we started everybody off just around $15 an hour before, when it was like $9 an hour or whatever it was pre first hike, and then because the way we always looked at it is like, well, I'm not going to pay you minimum wage because I don't want a minimum wage worker. I want someone that's worth more. So
That gives them more pride too, right?
yeah. And then the first increase happened, and I remember the bewilderment of everybody that they didn't get a hike. They didn't get an increase.
Yeah.
It was just like everybody was just like, "What? But minimum wage went up." I was like, "Yeah, but
Well, they
you're
all
not
want their
minimum
wage to stay static.
No, what they thought is that it's just the same thing with the UBI thing. It's this like naive thinking of not thinking it through. Of like,
oh, that's how
minimum
money
wage goes
works.
up, that means everything goes up the same. So if minimum wage goes up $5, that means I don't make 15 an hour, I make 20.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. They thought that it would all stay static, like
Yeah.
their wage would just be put up that extra amount.
Yeah.
I understood from a far view. I'm like, no, this is not good for the people who have been working to get somewhere. This
Well,
is
that was
not
the thing.
good.
It was like all these guys have a skill that I'm requesting of them. We're training into them, which is sales.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's like, well, you want to make more than anyone else? You got to go do something else then.
Well,
Yeah,
here's what
yeah.
here's what happened for cooking. I'll tell you, this is going to sound strange, but at one point you had career cooks.
Yeah, of course.
You had 35-year-old, 40-year-old guys who'd been doing it for 20 years,
Yep.
and they were very, very good.
Yeah.
Like very good and lots of pride. They
Yeah.
would do their thing very well. They got paid really well. Those guys are gone now.
Yeah.
Because now you have 20-year-old punks that have no idea what the hell they're doing and don't care about anything. They just want to jerk off and play video games and eat chicken. That's all they want to do. And these are the guys you're getting applying now because all wages everywhere are the same. You may as well do, like, there's no skill set anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I could go be a cook or I could go work at Walmart and it's the same money either way.
Yeah.
Right? Where before you could get a higher wage for being a good cook. That's kind of done now. And there's almost no way to do that anymore.
This is where like
You can't be
mean-
paid to be good anymore because you have to pay everyone so much.
like, I don't know what the best version of this is, but I know that doing that, bringing up the minimum, doesn't increase quality.
Well, I am
But-
for a living standard.
That's the thing, is there are a lot of economic benefits to this. As much as it's easy for the $17 an hour employee to get disgruntled when he used to make $10 an hour more than minimum wage, and now he makes $2 an hour more than minimum wage, right? It's easy to see why he's disgruntled and how it's hard for employers to carry this. But in the long term, the rising tide does lift all boats in this. The first few years are a weird adjustment phase, but over time, you will see the wages for the more sought after employees go up back to double minimum
I
wage.
did have that happen.
Milk,
Because I told you my wage, and you
It
couldn't.
sure will.
Yeah.
I told
And
you
then
my
the
wage.
wage increase meant nothing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
'cause
no,
that's how it
I
works.
see. I told you my
Just like
wage here a couple months
know.
ago, and it was like, wow, it's that high. Like it. I can't believe you get that. And I was like, well, it didn't happen right away. Like I was that disgruntled 17 an hour guy.
It takes time.
I was real disgruntled at first.
But eventually, they need to retain you,
'Kay,
and they're
so-
gonna have to pay you
well,
accordingly.
they have to figure it out once they get used to what their finances are going to be like.
Yep.
Like it takes a minute for them to be like, okay, now I have to pay the bottom rung.
Well, the tide rises
there's
at
a-
first, and it takes a minute to equalize everything else out.
But there is a place that does this, that pays everybody very well, that rewards competence,
Yeah.
which is Germany. Whereas, like your lowest rung of job gets paid really well, has benefits, has all that stuff, has vacation time, and because they really heavily favor competence and proficiency and having everything be good.
They also have a pride in their work, typically as a national, like
That's
attitude.
That's what I mean. Like,
Oh
'cause
yeah.
German things for a long time have been known as the best built in the world, aside from Japanese, really.
Because they have a culture that values doing good work, where here our culture simply values having stuff.
Well, we
But this is
said
where-
last week, cultural mutts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? We have no real pride.
Yeah.
yeah.
And pride is even discouraged.
But okay, so like we could take it into our tattoo industry,
Yeah.
right? This shop is a rarity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we all have the agreement internally that we're trying to do the best things that we can do.
That's right.
Whatever
That's
that
right.
is.
And we accept criticism if we where we can take where criticism is given to us, we take it and we use it. We go hard.
Yeah. Because
Welcome.
we're at the
stoked.
point of like we charge a lot,
Yeah.
and the expectation that the quality of work would come out with that a lot number.
It's
makes
Yeah,
sense.
I will
it's
give
just a
you
given
that, but I
we're-
don't agree that you charge a lot.
In
I
this
see,
town, we
no,
do.
no, I've seen some real bad stuff being done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's
oh, I know.
still,
Still expensive.
a lot.
I know.
Yep.
Like it's
Yep.
insane how much some people are charging.
Well, there's some artists in this town who work really fast. So you'll walk in and they'll say, "Yeah, $600," and then they spend 3 hours putting garbage on you. And don't get me wrong, there's some artists in this town who are fast and good. But there's also some artists. In this
There's
town
artists
who
that are
fast and
slow as
horrific.
well, and also painful, and also charge 140 an hour.
That's right. That's
and
right.
they shouldn't be.
That's right.
You know, like, because this shop, what, 140 to 180 an hour?
Yep.
That's the rates?
Yep.
But there are way worse people doing same rates.
Oh, slower.
I mean,
So
like,
when you say we're expensive, this whole city is about the same price.
I would just say we're on the top
There are
end of
some
it.
sketchy
Yeah.
people who are charging almost nothing. $50, as much ink as you can handle.
Yeah. Buy me
Right?
beer.
Just saying,
Tap
though, I'm-
$50 tap out special.
But that said,
Go
I'm-
till you're done.
I'm 2.5 years in and I charge $180 an hour.
Yeah.
Like that's not cheap for someone who's only been doing it for 2.5 years.
No,
Right? So that
But
is
the
expensive.
expectation of quality level is
That's right.
that of someone
And-
that's been tattooing for
and
longer.
my average quality output is generally pretty spectacular.
you've
and, like,
gotten
if
a
you-
lot
I put
better in
I
a
put
short span of
I put
time.
a lot of pride in it.
Because I'm like always loosely watching everyone in
Yeah.
this city, and I've been doing this for a long time. Because I'm always like, if something falls through, I need to know like where else. Because that's just the way I am in general. I'm
yeah.
always looking at everything around.
You arm yourself with knowledge.
Sure, and you should. If you're doing a lot in that area, you should know what's around you.
Yeah.
And I've seen your work has climbed in the last year so much. Like every time I see a new piece, I'm like, that's a little better than the last one. That's a little better than the last one.
And that's all you're doing in this industry.
Yeah.
You're just trying to make
Well, some
yesterday's work
people
look
aren't.
like garbage.
Well, this is like when he first came on, the way that he handled criticism, I was like, dude, you're gonna be great. Like that was like the first thing, because like nobody can handle getting critiqued. Like it's really a problem, and I don't know why.
Well, I feel it all the time
But,
too.
like-
My work, even people don't like being told they're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Well, the weird thing is, like, I don't know. I've always had an easy time with that because I'd much rather know and do better.
So you can fix the problem.
Yeah.
The best way to improve is being told this isn't good enough.
Yeah.
Once someone gives you that fire, well, shit.
Well,
you
and
got
the
some
other
changes
thing
to
is
make, and
taking
we're gonna
the.
do this.
It's not animosity.
No.
It's
actually
just,
for your
yeah.
benefit.
Yeah.
Like if you take this and run with it, you will work out better. Like that and I never saw that as a negative.
It's like I told you last week when I said when I had gained all that weight. My first thought was, how come no one told me?
Dude,
How
I have
come
that
no
all the
one
time.
told me?
I like a buddy of mine,
I
unfortunately he's
felt
moved
angry
away.
at my loved ones that no one said anything to me. This is a problem in my eyes.
I've
Why
only
didn't you
had
tell
one
me?
friend that's ever done that for me. One friend where like my weight was getting out of control, and he came up to me one day. He's like, "Hey, so you're fat?"
You're fat now. That's the thing.
It was just one of those like, I don't know if no one else is telling you it, because that's how it works when you have one of these like.
It's hard to
slow
see it
progressions.
yourself.
Yeah.
It's really hard to see gradual changes in yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I say about piercings all the time. Me and Sarah were talking about this the other day. Like, if I were to just do what I want to do, I would just keep stretching things. I have to consciously remind myself of what I'm looking like so that I stop doing certain things because I live with myself every day. It's really easy to gradually proceed.
Yeah. of
Right?
course.
Like, and then all of a sudden you have a lip plate and now I'm eating dinner off my lip. You know what I mean? Like, that could happen.
Yep.
Because we don't see ourselves gradually going down the path.
No.
You need outward vision on you sometimes to get yourself reeled in.
Yeah.
It's a form of reflection.
Well, like if you were putting up terrible pieces nonstop, right? And you're proud of them and you got a
Yep.
shit eating grade and you're like, I can't wait to post this. And it's
Yep.
like, it's just shit.
Yeah.
And
someone
Kevin
needs
is thinking
someone
this
needs to be
way.
like, excuse
and,
me.
and Kevin and Rick are in the corner like, that's shit. I can't believe he's doing that. And they're laughing about it, but they're not telling you.
Right.
Because they don't want to hurt your feelings.
Yeah. What's
And then you
meaner in
find
the
out
long run?
later, you guys were shitting on my work, but you didn't tell me.
That's right.
How about just say, hey, man, that needs this. Hey, man, that needs, instead of, oh, well, let's not hurt his feelings.
But this is where what I'm trying to say is like, I don't understand how societally we get to a place where we have people that are okay to hear it.
The coddling of the American mind.
It's really weird, man. Like, that's where like seeing how you took it, it was one of those like, okay, you're a rarity now. Because I could have 10 people in here and you're gonna be the one person that's not freaked out about the fact that I said this.
Yeah.
And
That I walked in one morning and we had a discussion about how, hey, that stuff from yesterday, not good enough.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Neat.
Yeah. And like just seeing it, how you handled it, and like Terry's done the same. And like partly because now I preface that with anybody coming in here, I'm gonna be like, hey, just so you know, you're gonna have to be able to handle this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what the goal is and
It's
where
a
you're
better
at
product.
are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're looking to build world class. It's not going to happen
Yeah.
overnight.
Yeah.
But the journey you're expected to be on
Yeah.
is striving for world class.
Something
Yeah.
I got told when I was young working was if you can't make someone feel bad about something, you can't get anywhere with them. And I don't mean to make them sad or like hurt, but like if you tell someone, hey, this is bad, you need to do better at this, and they're like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm not getting anywhere with this guy.
Yeah.
Like I'll never get anywhere with this guy. If instead he goes, oh, okay, I see what you mean. I did do that bad.
Yeah.
I can do better next time. That's someone you can get somewhere with.
So
If you don't have that reaction, you're not getting anywhere.
but how do you get that into McDonald's?
Well, you're not going
You're
to.
not going to. You're going to get robots.
But their business model is built that way.
I know.
But they
wasn't.
safeguard it. They safeguard it anyway. Nothing there is left up to individual.
That's the thing.
Like they have bells and
They
whistles.
have a strictly
It
guided
cannot
system.
be done wrong.
The outline is
But at
very
the same
specific.
time, it's a running joke that we know as a society, if you go into McDonald's, it's trash.
It is.
It's
But
just like going to Walmart.
but
like,
then-
you know it's garbage. Why is it okay for us that we're like, yeah, that place is terrible, but I'm still going there?
Did I
Those
tell
cheap.
you I've worked pretty consistently in McDonald's?
Sorry?
I've worked pretty consistently in McDonald's. So one of my specialties is
How
Where's
many
that
jobs
job
have you
counter?
not for
We need a
McDonald's.
job counter running.
Not-
Ding, 13.
Not for McDonald's, in McDonald's. So one of my specializations in my electrician trade is commercial appliance repair.
Okay.
So if the microwave or the deep fryer or the little egg
Something
cooker
goes away, then-
breaks,
yeah.
they call me.
Okay.
And I show them a bag of tools and my specialty part suppliers. And I get on the hotline. I discuss the common problems with the machine with the dude down in Texas. I figured out, I troubleshoot it, order the parts, sort of the issues. So that said, I spend a lot of time at McDonald's. And those employees, because of how their employment is structured, it's not as slack-jawed as you think.
No, I don't think it's that
Because their breaks are strictly monitored. Their managers, there's like a weird psychological
there's a lot of
gameplay.
structure
Their
to it.
managers are quite intent on doing it right.
I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is quality is not what comes out.
Well, but
Efficiency and making money.
There was never
That's-
going to be quality because those burgers are sitting in a bloody warming tray. Like
Yeah.
the patties
This
are
is
in a
the
warming
way
tray.
it's done so that it can be the
it doesn't
same way
matter-
everywhere.
It doesn't matter how much pride Josh has in his job at McDonald's because those burgers are soggy in this little warming tray their whole life.
But if you look back at the origins of McDonald's,
Yeah.
when it was the McDonald's brothers, and they had this stream. This is one of the reasons that you get the people that are the nostalgia people going, "Oh, the '50s, they were great." It's because the idea of pride
Nope,
in
they
your
were super
work.
racist.
Yeah, they're super, super racist. But like the idea of pride in one's work was emphasized. It
Well,
was
they wouldn't be where they are today if it wasn't. Because it would
well,
have been McDillan's instead.
sort of.
McDonald's.
It went
well,
to
it would have been another chain.
sort of like they were the first people to do like streamlined work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was very efficient, very fast, things like that. But the standard that they were all held to in terms of making it, it was very mom and pop style. right?
Without McDonald's, we wouldn't just have no McDonald's, though. We would have another thing in
absolutely.
place of it. Someone else would have jumped in and filled that
Just
need.
I think
without-
there's more Burger Kings in the world than there are McDonald's.
Is that right? I don't know if that sounds right to me.
I can't remember, but
I think
there's one
Burger
that,
King is like,
there's one that has the most, and it wasn't.
you know,
McDonald's.
McDonald's takes a lot of shit, but I think Burger King is way grosser than
Oh,
McDonald's.
Yeah, but-
Subway's the winner. We know that.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most
like-
fast.
I just can't remember, but I was like, holy crap, it's not McDonald's, because McDonald's I think they set up one, whereas like
Subway,
Burger King will set
McDonald's,
up
Starbucks,
3
KFC.
kind of thing.
So Subway has
Number one.
43,000 locations.
There you go.
McDonald's has 37,000. Starbucks is 30.
That's so
KFC
many.
is 20.
That's so many.
Yep.
You know, I will say, though, we're shitting on McDonald's right now, but a lot of those guys still have their jobs, and they're not going to be threatened by this.
True.
While the
True.
three of us
Well-
are wondering what the fuck.
Sort of. Like
So this is a good segue actually into we wanted to talk today about the compensation thing, the assistance financially
CRB?
during shutdowns.
Here's what I
Not even-
want.
not
I
even-
don't want any help. I want to work. Right? I don't want to be given anything. I've never been unemployed my whole life. Despite my appearance, I've been employed my whole life.
Okay, so here's the fun controversial thing to get into on the subject. So what if 50% of the population wants no change, let this thing to run its course, and the other 50% wants the government to step in and slow it down to prevent deaths? How do you reconcile those two sides?
Well,
Because I think we're pretty split right now. 50-50.
we are where you wake up this morning and you see people laughing and toasting the restrictions. Meanwhile, you understand that there are people who are going to take their lives because of these
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
restrictions.
But how
There
do
are
you-
people in financial ruin because of this who not just are going to experience discomfort, but
They're gonna
may
lose
be
their
on the
business or the house.
streets.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We
Their
may
whole
have
life is
people
different.
on the streets after this.
Yeah.
People are going to lose their life over this, and we have people toasting the restrictions
So
and
most-
laughing about it like
most
they're
people that are in
bloodthirsty.
the
Yeah.
most people that are stoked on the restrictions, I would consider that to be the most privilege.
Oh,
right?
sure.
Yes.
Like
yes.
even in what they were addressing yesterday.
If you're
that
happy
one of
about
the-
this, you have privilege. Understand that.
yeah,
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 yeah.
if you're stoked on this idea, you probably are okay financially.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is you're only okay financially because there's all those other people out there grinding. If we
Yeah.
didn't have all those people out there grinding, your money ain't worth shit.
Yes. Yes. Good point.
Like our economy is by a hair right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Just in general.
Our money's only worth something because you can buy
Yeah.
things with it.
That's one of the
And,
things that
and services, of
Buy,
course.
yeah, that's spend,
Yeah.
spend, spend.
there's a huge disconnect in terms of like
People understanding money versus value.
people understanding a lot of things.
Yeah.
But just in terms of like how things work.
Well, we've been taught all our lives that money is this and this is how it works. We've not been taught by our secular system that it's simply a construct and money's only backing. It's no longer gold.
Yeah.
Money's only backing is the fact that Kevin will provide me a service for that money.
So I'll get
and
it.
that I can, and that he will then buy goods with that money.
Yeah.
Because that farmer planned ahead and he planted those goods in the ground because he knew he would get money for them.
So I'll give it to you this way.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're what's a job that wouldn't have been affected by this? An accountant? Because you work from home.
Let's say a construction
My
worker.
brother,
No, let's say that's not
for
affected.
example,
Yeah,
works
construction
as
workers aren't
a
affected.
legal aid.
In some respects, they would.
He's
be,
doing his
because
work
less
from home.
Less buildings being
Oh,
built.
sure.
My
okay.
brother Tristan works at King of Trade. He wasn't affected by it.
Yeah.
My other brother Dave is also not affected by it.
Yeah, weirdly enough, because guitars are essential.
How many things are essential that aren't essential?
Yeah, just not your job.
Well, it's
Yeah.
Not mine.
And again,
Theirs, though.
it's absolutely wacky.
it's retail, not services.
My wife
right?
works at a warehouse sorting clothes.
Yep.
There are more people in that warehouse right now than were in my restaurant yesterday.
I know.
Oh, let alone, well, we're in a tattoo shop that at maximum there's what?
Neither
8
of us
people in here?
understand
Yeah, maybe.
why she is not at home and I'm at work. She doesn't even, she wished that she had been sent home both times. Okay? If in a perfect world, I would have been working. She would have been given time off.
It sounds like you're gonna go work in a warehouse now.
No, it's just, it's wacky how they decide what's necessary and what isn't.
Well,
It's based on absolutely nothing, essentially.
That's my biggest issue with the restrictions is like they cut off the knees the businesses that are not spreading this.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you look at it in terms of like, and all of their data has shown that. There is not one hair salon outbreak. There's not one tattoo shop outbreak. There's not one massage parlor outbreak. There's not a restaurant.
No.
even.
Restaurants are responsible for 0.3% of cases.
Exactly. And
I know the
those are
facts, and it makes it worse knowing the facts.
But the problem is,
that's usually
what
true.
they're
makes it
using it
worse.
as is they're saying like this is basically punishment, is what
Yeah.
it boils down to. Because
But
if
they're
you're
not
looking at
punishing-
statistically, they're punishing the people that are being flagrant in face of the restrictions that were in place. So it's like for people that are thinking it's okay to go and do house parties, now all of a sudden everybody else's business is screwed because they still want to do house parties.
They didn't screw enough people, though, to go that route, in my opinion. They should have screwed everyone if they were going to go that way. Okay, now you're all fucked. Have fun.
There's
Not
no,
just,
but
not
the
just
people
you guys
that are doing
fucked.
that
Us
stuff.
three are fucked, but these 10 guys aren't.
But what I'm saying is the people that are doing that are not the people that are affected. It's like 21-year-olds that are off school and they're going to throw a big party.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they're talking about. And us losing our jobs, they don't give a shit. Because they're not in the headspace to give a shit. When I was 21, I wouldn't have cared.
No.
I probably wouldn't
No,
have thrown
these guys don't
parties.
want to work anyway. They were excited. I know some 21-year-olds that were hoping this happened.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not getting CERB again.
Well,
Yeah,
They are.
There definitely is CRB.
yeah.
Like I'm telling you that right now.
But anyways,
there are supports.
The
if you
people
can
that are
be,
rejoicing for this, the people that are rejoicing for the shutdown,
are the people with
are the
bad
people that
arms need tender rest.
Yeah, yours is different. Are the people that in 2 years' time, where they go to sell their house, and the $450,000 that they're mortgaged to the hilt with is now worth $215,000,
Oof.
and they owe the bank $400,000.
Those are the suicide risks.
And they have $35,000 on each credit card, and they're
I'll tell you,
mortgaged to
suicide
the hilt
risks.
because everything has gone up exponentially in terms of costs, while the value of what they have has gone down, and they couldn't see it now.
Yeah.
That's the problem with foresight. Like, UBI is a perfect example of lack of foresight. Shutdowns are a perfect example of lack of foresight. If you don't shut down areas that are problems and you go after the ones that are widespread, you're going to have widespread issue.
We're going to have rises in cases either way.
So here's my question.
Exactly.
This isn't going to affect
Because you didn't
anything.
shut down Safeway. You didn't
Yeah,
shut down the
well,
mall.
I was at London Drugs Monday, and it was a fucking meat market in there.
But
Yeah.
here's my
Like, there were
question.
people crawling around in there, like
What-
all over. No one's social distancing.
No.
What kind of shutdown would you guys be? So suppose
A shutdown's not the answer.
No, shutdown doesn't work. The World Health Organization is what
Yeah,
they started
they're saying
basing all
over and
this
over
around,
again.
and now they've gone off kilter from that.
So
What
They're
you
not-
need is you need UV sterilizations in stores. You need regimented in terms of who's in and out, in terms of contact tracing. This is why I'm saying individual shoppers
Yeah.
and the ability to sterilize when someone's left. Because if I understand it correctly, particles can live on substances for 17 days. So
terrifying.
if I have the coronavirus and I pick up a piece of bread at a superstore and I put that bread back, and 17 days later, obviously that would be
Some stale bread.
but someone goes, and if that is not sterilized in that time, this is an essential
Hopefully you're not
service.
putting cleaning agents on the bread.
Well, but on the packaging or whatever.
teasing.
But the biggest thing is UV sterilization is a thing that works.
Yep.
But we don't have that infrastructure in place to make it so you can sterilize everything.
Mm-hmm.
But until you get to that place, then all of a sudden maybe a lockdown works. But if you're going to keep essential services open, the only thing you can do is it slows it down a little bit.
So here's
And
It's
I'm
not
telling
gonna
you
change
this
that,
right
though.
now. They think for a second that anyone's not doing Christmas. They're out of their fucking minds.
Oh, dude, I'm not.
so here's a question. What if
I'm doing Zoom.
there was a 1 week ultra hard lockdown?
It's not going to happen.
You
No, but what
saying
if-
that doesn't fucking change a thing about what I just said, because you're one of the most reasonable people I know. That doesn't have any bearing on reality. You
know.
can do Zoom all day long. Most people are going to do whatever the fuck they want anyway.
Especially in anti-masker
including
province.
all of my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of my family thinks that this is a hoax.
Thank you. So this is what I'm saying.
We're
Their
so screwed, boys.
restrictions
Dude.
on businesses aren't going to do a fucking thing.
I know.
It's just going to piss people
And-
off more.
And this is the other thing of like, where has this worked? Where has the lockdown worked in a way that it doesn't have a resurgence?
I mean, New Brunswick has less than 100 cases.
Sure. Have they? Where did those cases come from? Because they had zero for a long time.
I mean, they come in from another province, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, this is like something that we have to have.
I'm saying lockdown will help. Lockdowns do help.
But that's not what they're saying at all. That's not what the World Health Organization
But then
is
how did
saying.
New Brunswick
No,
get
the
it
World
down?
Health Organization says no more lockdowns.
Yeah.
Lockdowns don't work.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're also in China's pocket. Like,
Sure. But
So a lot of the World Health Organization has been politicized by both sides now.
yes.
Right.
Yes.
what helps?
I'm a cynic, though. I don't believe anybody.
What helps is putting large-scale infrastructural change in place. Mm-hmm. And we're not doing that. It's
Yeah,
like
but we have a
everybody.
conservative government. He's not spending money. He already fired all the healthcare workers and then didn't hire them back on during a health crisis.
Well, I mean,
So
he
he's
doesn't
not
have
about,
money.
he's not about to put money into anything useful.
We don't have money for that,
yes.
and that is a reality
Mm-hmm.
now. Anybody that was let go, you're gonna keep seeing this more and more. We're gonna have less money to pay people for things that we actually need. But this is also a result of the lockdown.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the lockdown, you have a stronger economy. You can hire more people to take care of the issues that you're going to have.
Right.
You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
could
yeah, yeah.
invest in infrastructural businesses that might allow for UV sterilizations in
Mm-hmm.
major city centers. And then all of a sudden it's like, is it a better idea to put money into things that might help? Or
Or
is it
lose revenue through a shutdown.
yeah. And it,
We're
like
coming out worse every time.
and everywhere is coming out worse every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that is a resounding obvious
Mm-hmm.
now. And we're still talking about something that is very minutely lethal.
Oh, yes. That's the
Yeah, we're
that's
doing
the
a
thing in all
lot of
this.
damage to the people who
That's
are
the
here
trick.
and living now
Yeah.
to protect the people who are just about dead.
And I can well, but like I have,
Well,
I have
Sarah's
grandparents. I don't
Oma,
want them to
she'll
die.
never see that woman again. She will never see her again. She's in a retirement
I
center.
know. My grandpa's
And
in
they're
one too, and I can't see
protecting
him.
her from her family.
Yeah.
She's 93. For fuck's sake, a stiff wind could kill this woman. She's living for her family.
Yeah, and
But
she
she'll
can't see
never
them.
see them again.
Yeah, that's both my grandparents right now.
What the hell, man? This woman doesn't want this. She wants to see her fucking grandchildren and great grandchildren.
But as I am also, as I said last time, and I will say again, I hope that they take this and see data. If data points to that it is successful in that respect, I say we start doing circular targeted lockdowns. Like say okay, this area of Calgary is locked down for this time. This area, because we're being far too general. It makes no sense for us and our 250 cases to be the same as Northeast Calgary, which has multiple thousands.
Well, the idea would be, well, what if someone from so-and-so traveled to the other place, right?
Well, that's how China shut it down.
Yeah.
It was like, I mean, granted, they did it horribly.
Well, I mean, the people will be reasonable. And a perfect example is, some people will be reasonable, I should say.
Yeah, I was about to say. There are
like
Karens
Scott
in
and
the
I were
world.
planning on going to Kelowna.
Yeah.
I canceled that on my end a couple weeks ago because I was like, look, I can't leave in the middle of this.
Yeah, of course.
Christ knows what you're coming back to.
Yep.
So, like, I had already been preparing for this reality. Still, yesterday when I came, I was like, I cannot believe it in a way, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can. So, like, I wasn't as catatonic this time as I was last time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though I wasn't as catatonic, I was more fearful this time.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, now I really don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the supports that were in place Canada-wide before aren't anymore.
Yeah.
And now I'm like,
Well, we
okay, now I really have to think of something.
as a nation acted on it prematurely.
Yeah.
So the first article I read said lockdowns prevent 40 to 50% of the deaths.
Not. it's a delay. And
yeah, they've even said as much. This isn't to stop cases. It's to stop them from spreading as fast.
the healthcare workers understand that it's going to do what it's going to do until we have some sort of herd immunity, either through vaccination or
5-week
through
lockdown
cases.
in Italy prevented 200,000 hospital admissions and reduced transmission by 45%.
And that was a firm, hard lockdown.
Yeah, we're
What
just
we're
selectively
doing is not that.
We're selectively hurting people, basically.
See what the WHO says.
And that's where, that's what I remember last night when this was coming out. I remember thinking, Kenny doesn't have the balls to lock us down. He does have the balls to do what he's done, but an actual genuine lockdown, no, he doesn't have the balls to do it.
This is kind of odd though, because 2 weeks ago he was apologizing for the first lockdown. Like he was like, I feel bad for hurting the economy and all these small businesses. Then 2 weeks later, all the small businesses shall pay, right?
Yeah, but it's
where
people.
does this come from?
Well, the problem is it's people that are calling for something to be better, right? And they don't have a lot of tools in their toolkit. I'll say that.
Even the WHO says that lockdowns are important to slow it down so the contact tracing and stuff can catch up.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, like, it's not to stop it. It does slow it.
Yeah.
But we're not doing a lockdown.
Well, I'm just saying, what's the alternative? I mean,
They don't have an alternative. This is
The
the other
mall
problem.
is still open, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You cannot tell
you
me.
can't call this a lockdown.
You can't. You're not hitting more people in any building in this city than that mall.
Yeah.
Right. That's nonsense.
So what the hell is that about? Or
Well-
go to Walmart and see how crawling it is with people.
Yeah. I know.
And you're going to have more people in those places than ever right now
Well,
because
and all
people
the-
still want to go out and do something.
All the seriousness that was with the restrictions beforehand, where it was like people were getting lined up, people were getting thermometered, people like they were wiping down carts and stuff like that. That's all gone.
Oh yeah.
We had all this stuff in place and loosened it all up. And then all of a sudden now it's like, okay, well, you just can't work now. But it's like, no, just put the cleaning back in. That'll help a little.
Well, some can work
Every
and others
little
can't.
bit we do will help. But it's not going to get rid of it. And if you're talking in terms of how things spread in the time where people's immune systems are the worst, it's going to spread fast.
It's going to happen
Because
no matter what we do.
part of it's not even the fact that you're in contact with the virus. Part of it's that your body doesn't have the immune system to deal with it fast enough that it doesn't actually get to you, right?
Wow. So Yeah, everything I'm reading is super saying that lockdown is an important tool in the toolkit for slowing this thing.
This is a
I
tool,
wonder if
yes.
we're going to look
And
back
that-
on and study the detriments of the lockdown.
and that the herd
Oh,
immunity.
of course we will.
And that the herd immunity is
Not going to
quote,
happen.
A dangerous fallacy unsupported by scientific evidence.
Even with immunization, like immunization, so far they only know that the Pfizer thing works for 3 months. So if you think about it, like how many times, like maybe that'll expand. Maybe they'll say, oh, antibodies are good for 6 months or whatever. But they don't have the capacity to give enough inoculation to create a herd immunity
That's
where
right.
it goes away. Like reality is this type of thing is with us for the next 2 years.
Well, we got to get a
2
grip on
years
how
from
we're
now.
going to handle this because some people
I
are
don't think
saying
so.
2024.
100%.
Some people are saying it's
Yeah.
going until 2024.
The head of CDC guy.
I'll
It's
be honest.
2022 at minimum.
I've started buying stocks again.
Yeah, and as you should.
Because I think we're gonna, as the vaccine stuff comes out, we're gonna see a boost in optimistic outlook.
I'm not
But-
saying that we are in lockdown for the next 2 years.
Oh,
well,
no,
I'm
we
saying-
can't be.
I'm saying we find a way to live with
for
it.
2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
They won't ever say it that way either. Like you won't ever have someone come out and tell you for 4 years you're fucked.
Yeah.
You got nothing. Just endure it.
Well, what-
It'll be 2 months, 2 weeks, 2
So
months, 2
have
weeks.
we ever
2
gotten
months.
rid of the flu?
No.
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 And odds are good we don't get rid of this.
I
So
guess if
then
it
we
keeps
got to
mutating
figure
like a
out
flu,
how we're going to live with it
then now
and
we-
not do this to ourselves.
now we just have a coronavirus cold, a normal flu, and a coronavirus flu, just always kind of circulating.
Pretty well.
Life expectancy, no one lives past 74.
Well, I think what we'll end up noticing is that more studies will come out with immune-related things. So ways to boost your immune system, ways to be healthier.
Yeah.
When you say living till 74, that's longer than we should live anyway. We're already living way longer than humans should live, and now we're just battling our mortality forever. Like, oh, well, we should be able to live 100 years. It's like, no, we should be able to live 40. You're only useful for so long anyway.
that's right.
We're just taking care of the useless people.
Well,
It's true.
When
It
our-
sounds barbaric.
When our communities and our tribes were smaller, some portions of the tribe and community living to 60 or 70 was an important thing to pass down
Knowledge.
multi-generational
Yeah,
knowledge.
oh, sure. You
But
can-
nowadays, no one's passing down knowledge.
No.
No one's listening to old people.
Fuck, man. Nobody
So-
has knowledge.
We just
Yeah.
put them away. We protect them from their family.
But
I
I
was just
don't-
saying about Sarah Zoma. She's just dying in a building.
My
Yeah.
parents
No
are
one
55,
can even
and I
see
don't want
her.
them to die in 5 years, you know?
Yeah.
No one wants their parents to die. We've talked about this before. No
I
one
mean,
wants
some people
to see.
do.
Wow.
Yeah.
No one wants to see their loved ones die, but death is part of life. we
Yeah,
can't
big
protect
time.
ourselves
The last
from
part.
it.
We listened to a big podcast yesterday about acceptance of death and how the only way to truly live is by accepting death as a natural and normal
sure.
and inevitable
You
part of
saved
life.
Sarah Zoma for another year. She's gonna die anyway. She is going
We're
to
all gonna die
die
anyway.
soon.
So the only thing that I would say is,
She's gonna see this podcast.
No.
yeah, she's
She
big on the Remy Show.
screams like a banshee. She's completely incoherent in and out of German and English.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
wow.
Yeah,
oh
it's the
my!
same. With,
Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
And you're that
Touche.
age.
that's what happens.
Touche.
You deteriorate.
And I guess some other woman that lives there is beating on her too, like one of the other inmates.
Beating?
Like she's getting bruises from another old person hitting her.
I mean,
Like she's just
if you're
suffering,
93, you get bruises pretty easy.
suffering and dying,
Yeah.
and not able to see her family.
It's the suffering that's the bummer.
Well, that's what we have we don't have a problem with death. We have a problem with suffering.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the interesting thing about that is we don't like the idea of eliminating suffering. Like Canada
Well-
now has it so you can do doctor-assisted suicide.
The issue with the reason people fear death so much is they're fearing the suffering of the people left behind.
Once you
We've taken
are,
this-
I don't know about that.
Yeah, we've taken this soft approach. and
I think we're like way more.
When someone kills themselves, when there's a suicide,
They're not
everyone-
thinking about the people behind.
let me tell you something.
No, when someone
I've
kills themselves,
seen-
the people
I know.
who commentating on it are saying, "Well, I'm glad they're at peace now. I feel bad for the family."
when
every
my
time.
father
Yeah, of course.
died,
Yeah.
he
what I'm
was
saying is-
trying to kill himself for his whole life basically,
Uh-huh.
and I ended up being the one to ID him
Oh wow.
because I was knocking on his door because I was taking care of him the last few months
Mm-hmm.
because my mom had given up on doing it. He hadn't worked in months.
Yeah.
He was squatting in his apartment, which we
nice.
didn't know that until after.
Huh.
And I knocked on his door one last time and I didn't get a response. I called my mother. She came. She's there knocking with me. Finally, we call the police. We go into the house, and there he is hanging from the ceiling. He found a beam that was strong enough to support him, and he got it done. He didn't care who seen him or what they felt anymore. He may have cared in the moment that he passed, but everything that led up to that moment was singular. It was all about, I need to go.
That's right. That's right.
He'd been trying for so long to go. So yes, he was finally at peace. And you know what? I actually feel like in his life, that may have been the only thing he did right. And I don't mean to say that he was a complete failure, but in his own eyes, that was his greatest success, was finally leaving. Because he just couldn't get it done for so long. He tried so many different ways, so many different times. People would come and save him. People wouldn't let him do it. And finally, when he was alone there, squatting in that house, he got it done. And that was probably his greatest accomplishment. It sounds sick, but for a certain portion of people do not want to be here. And do not have the skills to do well here. And we are so concerned with saving everyone that we're stopping the ones who don't even want to be here from going. We should have assisted suicide.
Well, we do.
We should have it everywhere in the world.
Unique. It's unique here. You have to have like a medical reason. Like a friend of mine, his mom had really debilitating MS, and that's
so this man was in therapy. He was. I think it should come at a point of.
Well, that's the thing is what about the people killing themselves when they're 16 to 21 years old over some heartbreak?
This is the thing. There are some moral issues here. But for him being a 55-year-old man with a failed marriage, kids that he barely knew, multiple issues that he could not get over, multiple attempts, like a career-long attempt of suicide, there is a point where it's time to let them go. I didn't need to see him that way. He should have been able to square up with everyone. He should have been able to say goodbye to everyone and go. Hey, he should have been able, it should be socially okay for him to go, I tried my best, I can't do this.
And the peace that comes with knowing your death is determined and in the near future would allow him to go speak to his family and be more open.
If he had told anyone that,
ever in his life.
If he had told anyone that, we would have been, he did tell my mom things like that, and she would get him hospitalized. Where when he would tell me that, I wouldn't do it that way. I would listen to him. I would speak to him. I relate to him, and I would go nowhere else with it. Because I felt like this is his life that he's sharing with me, and it's not my job to report it to someone. Like I never took ownership of that, and that's part of why he did relate to me. But like, if you tell most people that you're feeling that way, they will have you hospitalized or something.
Oh goodness! Or they're going to talk to you in the worst, most condescending way.
Yeah.
Here's the question.
That's what my little brother did with it.
Here's the question though. So, say some research comes out, and someone in the exact same situation as your father has decreased blood flow to an area of their brain,
and you could fix that.
Yeah.
And then you could save that person theoretically.
Well, are they technically in their right mind?
Oh, good question.
Because
were they ever? What's his life look like?
They weren't.
That's his. Say you fix that.
Yeah.
The storyline of his life is no longer.
And this is what I'm saying. Like, I understand.
At the end of his life, though, I'm not saying from the beginning you fix that blood flow. Saying you do it 55 years in.
Yeah.
His whole life is now a lie.
Yeah, of course.
So how does he reconcile that?
He sees it. He sees it as the same way that if he had a tumor.
But isn't it too late to fix everything?
What I'm saying is, if we understand more, it may start to show you that it's not as much of just people don't have the skill set. It could be simply that people have an undiscovered issue that needs to be addressed in order for them to be able to soundly see their life. Because what he has is debilitating depression. debilitating depression is usually a lack of blood flow in your prefrontal cortex. Usually. So if he had an extreme either or it's either overproduction or underproduction.
There was something chemically wrong.
Yes,
Of course.
Because
Well,
there was
not
only a
necessarily
few,
chemically.
but there was only really a few issues
Yeah, of
that he
course.
just couldn't get past.
Well,
Like it
okay,
was certainly enough that I could have reasoned it away,
so
Yeah.
but they were so big for him.
but it's also you have a disability to see things correctly.
And once you're in that mindset, you're ruminating over those few
Oh,
hang-ups,
yeah.
and they control your life. Just like that.
So
They fester.
They fester.
Yeah.
because this is one of the things that I've been fascinated about. There's a Dr. Daniel Ammon who is like the forefront of this stuff. He has this book called Change Your Brain, Change Your Life, and he uses SPECT scans to measure blood flow to areas of the brain to help with diagnosis of different psychological disorders. And most people that have these things have some area of blood flow to their brain that's been disordered in some way and can usually be tracked back to some sort of traumatic brain injury. And traumatic brain injury can be as little as a too aggressive roller coaster ride because of the way your brain sloshes around in there. And he has had great success in healing people's brains through supplementation.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah,
do you think
like a
what do
huge
you make
success
of
rate.
the idea of a broken heart? Do you think
Depends
that's
what you
the
mean.
thing, or do you think that's depends on what I mean? We'll say,
Entering depression after a
let's
relationship.
say, what amount of emotional trauma is there that goes into these things as opposed to chemical imbalance?
I'd say they're all intertwined.
Yeah.
So, okay, but if you can fix the blood flow,
Yep.
right? What do you do with that emotional trauma? Is it
Therapy.
just gone?
You accept it
No,
and
no, no,
approach
no,
it
no.
healthily now that your brain is working properly.
Yeah.
So-
Because if
Because like what he'll have a lack of empathy. He'll have
a lack of self-awareness.
self-awareness. He'll have
self-observance.
he'll have an innate view of himself as wrong.
This guy
As he
was,
shouldn't
let me
be?
tell you, like one of the things that I learned about him in the last few years, because I didn't know him well as a kid, was that he and I have a lot in common in the way that we reflect. But he couldn't. He was introspective, but he couldn't.
He's caught in the vortex. He's going around and around and
so
around.
he couldn't get outside of himself.
Yeah.
And like he couldn't
That's
emote
the
to others.
occipital singular gyrus, I believe.
I don't know
Look
the
at you
term.
go.
Dude, I've looked at all this stuff, and it's amazing that if all of a sudden you just start describing elements of the brain, elements of behavior, like religiosity.
Oh yeah.
Like religiosity is not that you believe in God; it's a type of behavior that causes extreme beliefs. So, like anti-masker, you believe that like conspiratorial thinking. A lot of it is an overproduction in a particular part of your brain.
So he would go and like I didn't know this of him until last year that we talked. It was like this guy would analyze every facet of his life. It was like it was deeply brilliant, but you never knew it because he would never express it. He had no ability to express. Once you got digging around in there, you're like, holy crap, this guy is well examined. But it's just so like it's like a winding tunnel.
Well, he's
like,
doing lots of
whoa.
self-examination, but within his own mind, he's moving with concrete boots.
Concrete boots.
He's not getting. He can see
and
lots
it's all
of things.
to
He can
one
see it all
purpose
happening.
too. There's no light at the end of this.
No, that's right. He's just
It's
in the
all
darkness,
digging down.
barely moving.
Yeah.
Where I do that same thing, but then I'm able to pull out of it and then use it too. Like I can express it and explain
Well,
it.
that's part of our. I think sociologically, we don't put an emphasis on negatives being inspiration.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
if you were to be able to say like, oh, you have this, use it to something, because you
Meanwhile,
have to
failure is the
channel
best
that.
teacher.
Yeah, you kind of have to channel that feeling, that energy, whatever it is that you've taken on there, into a direction. And if you don't channel it, it just stays.
Yeah, it quite literally fixed a noose.
And
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
Quite
we're
literally.
taught, starting with the Disneys and going with all the media we take in, we're taught that our feelings are supposed to be these powerful, all-encompassing things. We're not taught to stand there and go, I feel anger. I feel deep anger or sadness or whatever. Why do I feel this sadness? What is causing me to feel this sadness? do I have to feel this sadness to the point where it's affecting me today?
And this is one thing that I do is
That's right.
when
Our
I get
generation's
angry,
encouraged to do this.
I don't go away from it. Like yesterday
Yeah.
when I heard that announcement, I was picking Sarah up from work, and when I got home, I dropped her off, and I was like, I am not going inside.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going inside right now. I didn't go inside for 3 hours. I went, I drove, I sat in a parking lot, I listened to parts of the announcement, I did other random things, I called my boss. I just didn't go home, and I wanted to sit in that anger. I did not want to try and distract myself from it. I want to be angry right now because I am. I'm not repressing this.
Well, and
But I also don't want to freak her out.
yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to, because she's going to try and make me feel better, and that's going to make me angrier in that moment. Like, she's going to be, well, I feel
and then you're gonna have the feeling of it's not okay to be angry,
yeah.
which is a big issue when it comes to these things. Like,
It's okay to feel how you feel.
it's okay to feel how you feel.
It's how you process them.
I didn't want to
know,
destroy
yeah.
anything, though. I just wanted to be angry because I am.
Yeah.
Even this morning, I feel angry. Like I know I'm extra shouty. You know what I mean? Like, you can feel the rage.
That's good for the podcast, I think.
But
I'm enjoying the...
Like, people don't want to embrace it, but you have to, or else it comes out in weird ways.
Yeah. Well, we are kind of stunted when it comes to emotions, and I'm saying that personally as well, because I mean, me growing up through religion, a lot of base emotions were told as like they're bad, right?
Yeah.
Like the idea of angry, like
And it's a sin.
we were listening to that Stanford professor
Yeah.
talk about depression, and he said depression is aggression turned inward.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
And it made sense to me, because when I was most depressed, any aggressive feeling I felt bad about.
Well, your critical voice is sitting there telling, that's not okay.
Yeah.
That's not okay. That's not okay. That's not okay.
And like a lot of attitudes that I have and are like I thought were negative are just there. And they just are. Like, they're not positive or negative. You can use them for positive or negative things, but the feeling itself is not going to dictate whether or not you do that. You have to choose whether or not you do that outside of it. But I grew up thinking that just having the feeling I was wrong, I was sinning, I was bad. And I think we get that with a lot of things. Like, one of the reasons that they always try and talk about depression and anxiety now is like people felt bad for feeling those things. And you shouldn't feel bad for feeling those things. We should feel okay to feel that way and talk about how to walk it out.
But I do feel like there's a responsible way to handle it. And when I was younger, I didn't necessarily understand that.
Yeah.
Like, I would be more likely to destroy something or say something I didn't want to say to someone who was in the crossfire.
Well, and nobody
now-
gave you an outlet.
No.
Like, everybody just told you whatever you did was bad.
Oh yeah, they don't encourage positive ways to do this.
Yeah.
Even when, like, say you go to an anger management course, it's all about don't be angry.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
about
really.
what to do when
Yeah,
you're
it's not
angry.
like take that anger and put it
So you
somewhere.
have to learn it yourself. Like
Yeah.
yesterday when I was like, you get out, I'm staying here. And she didn't even argue with me because I
Yeah.
think she knew what that was. It's
Yeah.
me. It's almost like sparing her my anger.
Well, if you tell someone, hey, I'm having a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings, I'm going to go try to find the right process to work through them.
Yeah.
Any supportive, intelligent partner is going to be like, okay, yeah, go do that. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah.
It's like I need this time to process before I can do anything that vaguely resembles decency.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I hate when I do it. Like, I hate taking, like, not being able to be competent enough in my own emotions that I don't accidentally put those emotions on someone else.
Well, isn't
Yeah.
that how we all feel?
Oh, man. Like,
It's so easy to get lost.
Because that
Yeah.
compounds the issue.
Yeah.
Now you have the original feeling and you have guilt because you took it out on a loved one.
Yeah.
Or you said something stupid to a stranger, and instead of passing on positivity, generosity, kindness, you're
That's
passing on negativity. And...
Where I said, like, yesterday, like, are we going to still do the podcast? Because it's like, I don't want this. That was no one's fault. Really. It's none of our fault. I don't want this to destroy something that we've been successful at building and
right.
doing every week, because it's very easy to spiral.
yeah.
right? Something goes wrong, then something else goes wrong. Before long, you've lost everything you were doing, and you're not on track anymore.
Can you do, if we had multiple cameras, could you just do picture in picture?
Yeah.
Like, for example, if I wanted to social distance, could I sit over there with my mic and camera, and you could just picture in picture me in the corner of the screen?
More editing.
But then it's maybe less editing, because you're just going to take one and put it on top of the other, both the same whole duration.
Probably.
I would be interested in that. Just because in all this, I want to play my part and I want to be a little extra
Can
safe.
we like cut him in so that his head is coming out of that
Oh,
wall?
Probably.
please. Just like talking
Just the
head.
Scott head.
Just,
Every now and then
we'll
your
put my
mug
head on the
comes up.
monkey.
Yeah.
What
That'd be
monkey?
What are you talking about? There's nothing there.
I don't know
Anyways.
what you're talking about either.
Just the Scott head is just hovering above us, like the big giant head or something.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, whatever you want to do with that, that's up to you.
Well, I mean, if it's easy, then let's play with it.
Nothing's easy.
now I want to see it because I want to see floating Scott head.
Nothing's easy, but it's doable. Just like the way we were doing it before. Yeah, it's fine, but it's
but
terrifying
I
at
think
the same time.
I think this would be a lot easier than that. If it's picture in picture, I feel like you're not cutting and editing. You're just sticking it in, lining it up.
We can certainly try it if
That
that's
sounds like a sex
the
move.
direction you want to go.
Come on, Scott head would be pretty
I'll
fun.
even play with
Yeah.
the idea.
Hey,
Yeah.
I reserve judgment. But yeah, it's totally doable.
Yeah.
We can also zoom if we really need to.
I'd rather not.
Yeah, I know.
That sounds harder.
No, it's about the same as what you're asking.
This is what we were talking about because, like, originally my idea for a podcast, when my early ramblings on YouTube, was like, I'm gonna have this podcast where I talk to weirdos from around the world, and it'll be like an interview thing where I'm talking to weirdos, right?
Just kidding. It's the three of us.
And
shooting
now
the
it's
shit.
just the three of us rambling every week. And
Well, I
there's
mean-
untold hours of us babbling about everything.
We can always zoom people in.
But
that
like,
is a thing.
I just, it seems.
I want to be in the room. It's
No,
so-
I'm
it's so
saying
much-
like if we're wanting to get other
Yeah.
people from other places.
That's right. We can get them up
I
there.
feel like that's another show. But at the same
Yeah,
time,
that's a good idea.
I still don't understand exactly how it all works.
right.
Well, I mean,
Kevin's problem, I guess.
that is my problem. And
I mean,
that's
I
fine.
could actually learn the software and give you a hand.
It's
This would be the right month to learn some software.
I think the more like with the Zoom things, what you end up getting is as long as it's recorded, it's okay
Yeah.
because we can stitch it
You
together.
just
and
take
all
a
that
video
stuff,
and put
but-
it in.
Yeah, but it's just a matter of making sure that the other people are doing it right on their end, so
Yeah.
they can get files to us and things like that. But I think it's doable. If not, like the really cheesy version of it is doable, where we just
Yeah.
do it ourselves. But
We mic the TV.
yeah, basically, we'd have to do headphones. That would be the big change.
Oh.
Everybody have to have headphones on because you can't have that volume in the
That's
room.
pretty chill. Because we could literally just do
Yeah.
earbuds. It'd be fine.
But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I have all aspects of me coming out in all this.
Yeah.
Because like, I have the like, childlike I don't wanna
Yeah.
is like really big for me right now.
That's one thing I was going to mention too. Is like, there's a version of me that when they were first doing the announcement 2 weeks ago, there's some child in me that was like, "Yay, time off!"
Yeah.
But at the same time, that voice is like, it's deeply unreasonable
yeah.
and like, it's so irresponsible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't actually want that. It's just that humans, I
See,
think, love the idea
That
of
voice
relaxing.
in my head has been quite loud, and I've known it most of my life. When there's a natural disaster, I'm like, ooh, that must be very interesting. Like, I find them more intense.
Well, it's an
and
interesting
dramatic,
time
and
to be
once-in-a-lifetime
alive.
situations I find myself in is more interesting. Like, when I was living in Fort McMurray and it burnt down, that's one of the most exciting things that could have happened, and I was stoked. Like, I was so excited.
Yeah.
Terrible things happened to a lot of my friends. A lot
Like
of
you
people
said the
lost
other week,
everything.
you want to be there at the end times.
Yeah, I want to see what's happening.
Yeah.
I think it'll be super interesting. I'm super curious to see it. I love a good dystopian or post-apocalyptic, just because that voice in my head is super loud of, ooh, a tsunami. That's exciting.
See, I'm not
think-
interested in that. I'd rather just be over than suffer through it the whole way.
See,
Fair.
like for me, I do all of a sudden my suffering thing comes up of just like, I don't know if I want to.
I feel like I've suffered enough and I'm ready for things to just end as opposed to suffer more.
Right.
Like,
right.
and not to say, oh, I want to die tomorrow, but like, rather than prolonged suffering, I would rather the fast end.
Yeah, but I was raised in a cult that taught me to expect to be tortured for my faith at some point.
Yeah.
So
So you want it?
it's not that I wanted; it's that I was
You
mentally
cheated
conditioned
without it.
for it.
Yeah, no, you were technically.
Yeah, in a really
But like for me, I just kind of look at it like we get into this place of like our own self-determinance is gone, and I don't like that feeling. I really don't.
it's losing control.
Not even the control
Well, you lost
aspect
control
of
of
it.
your individual life.
What it is it's just that like someone else has it, and when you're a kid, that's what you have. You have your parents that can tell you to go to your room, and this is what it feels like now. Is it feels
Yep.
like our parents just told us to go to our room. Did
Yep.
we do anything wrong? No.
I mean,
Timmy did something wrong and blamed it on us.
Yeah,
That's what this
That's
is.
basically it.
Did our business do anything wrong? No. Have we spread any? Have we had
No,
one case
no.
come through here? That's what
No.
I'm meaning.
Right.
Like, is there any evidence to support that we've done anything wrong? No. Until that is the time, I have a hard time accepting just like, no, whatever. These guys had a party, so you guys are done.
Yeah. And it's not just like, oh, you guys are slightly impacted. You guys are, your life is uprooted.
Well, some
Yeah.
people aren't impacted, and some
Yeah.
people are dramatically impacted, and no one gets Christmas.
No. Yeah. Which, like, I don't know. I just, like, I have a hard time, and this is one of the things that I'm seeing more and more is, like, as we talk about bigger structures, the decisions made by bigger structures make less and less sense on an individual level. Like, our province shutting down makes less sense for us. Makes even less sense for Coaldale. Makes
Yes.
even less sense for Kip. Like, those are those things where it's like, as you get down in population size, these larger scale population decisions make absolutely no sense to you. And that's what I think the biggest difficulty is it's like if our city was overrun and it was our hospital saying, hey, we need help. You guys got to shut down for a bit. I go, yeah, of course. But the fact that it's like we see the numbers going up crazy in Edmonton, the numbers going up crazy in Calgary, and it's like, okay, now you're all shut down too. I have less empathy for that. Because it's like, if it was our hospital asking for it, in a heartbeat, I got no problem.
Right.
But it's not our hospital asking for it. And I have a hard time being like, yeah, for sure, let's all shut down. That's cool. Because Edmonton's having a hard go.
Yeah.
What?
What
are we talking about?
We'll
They should
cheerlead
shut
for you there,
down.
Edmonton. We'll all be on your side. We'll all shut down too.
But like, I understand that it's the premier. He can only decide it if it's for certain things. But it's like, making those decisions at a like, and it's just like if Canada shuts down and Alberta has their cases under wraps, then what's the point?
That's right.
Like the first shutdown made no sense.
No, that was crazy.
But as a world, it was like, okay, everybody shut down,
Yeah. Solidarity.
which makes less and less sense to people that are in smaller and smaller populations.
Oh, we live in weird times, boys.
It's really weird, and this
Live
is
in
where like
weird times.
I understand that we'll probably end up going towards global society
Yeah.
eventually.
Well,
Or
we've
water
seen
wars.
that majorly this
Yeah.
year.
Could be.
We
But-
really have. Everything.
Yeah.
Everyone was sort of in lockstep.
Yeah. And I cannot tell you how much is going to change when Biden's in office. The whole narrative around this whole thing is going to be real different. It's going to be a lot more cheers and yays than it is not that.
Yeah.
Like,
What's
it's
he gonna do? What's he gonna do different?
Oh, dude.
Is he gonna
It's
lock
not-
the whole thing
It's
down?
not what he's going to do different. It's going to be how it's talked about. How it's talked about has a big deal in terms of people's emotional understanding of a situation.
framing.
Yes, I agree with that strongly.
So
Big
I
time.
just think like once the media tone changes to more of a like we can do it, then all of a sudden it's totally different, and people's attitudes.
Well, I've
go
already
totally
seen
different.
the attitude change because when the first lockdown happened, it was everyone was against it for the most part, and now it's like everybody wants it.
Not
happened,
everybody wants it.
but a lot of people want it.
The attitude in the States is very anti-lockdown right now, I think.
I
think
see
it's
a
also-
lot
it's so
more,
long.
a lot
Yeah.
more people asking for a second lockdown than people were asking for a first lockdown,
I think a lot of people don't know what to do.
and they just want to do something.
Yep.
Throw something at the wall.
And inactivity doesn't feel good. If you don't feel like you're doing something, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse, you feel like you have to do something. Like yesterday, when that announcement happened, I was walking around my house saying, I feel like I have to do something.
It's the opposite.
I have
Well,
nothing to
everybody
do.
at work was stressing about it all day.
Yeah.
Like it was like, oh God, what's
know.
gonna happen? And we all knew.
Yeah.
Like we've been preparing. I told you we've been paring down for weeks.
Yeah.
Like we've been bracing for impact.
Well, and the impact we haven't even seen yet.
Oh, I know.
We haven't even seen the impact from the first lockdown. Like, when I drove down this street, there are 8 businesses out on this street.
Really?
8.
Oof.
And we're not even close to where we're going to be. Like, Foster's is going.
The Owl closed.
No, they moved.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah. But either way, no one's going in that building now.
No. No.
Like, you're going to see that more and more and more because so many people were on
But people don't understand how razor thin the profit margins
Yeah,
are.
of course. It's one of the reasons that's why I'm saying, like, our economy is on the thickness of a hair. Because everybody runs their business real.
Well, you have to. That's called competitive.
Well, in the restaurant industry, there's almost no room
That's
for
right, yeah.
failure.
Oh, yeah, your profit margins are teeny weeny.
Yeah.
I more think of it as like there's a way of doing it responsibly, and just people don't do it for fear.
Or operating.
Operating
profit margin?
wisely. And I get why, like, because you're trying to avoid taxes, you're trying to do all these things.
Let me
It's
put it this
better
way.
for you to invest it rather than hang on to it.
Everyone would love to have a 30% profit margin.
Yeah.
Good luck.
But good luck.
Yeah.
In this climate, it's really hard to have that profit margin because in a town of 100,000, there's 30 electrical companies.
Yeah.
There's 20 tattoo shops. There's a bazillion little boutique clothing stores. There's a bunch of big box stores. So to stay in business, you have to be competitive price-wise, which means your profit margin naturally
Gets
is
lower.
where that comes from.
Yeah.
So
It's tough, man.
yeah.
And like I will say though, one of the things that has me looking at this is like I would think I need to open up a drive-through only like food truck stand thing.
Yeah.
A drive-through food truck.
Well, it's a
kinda,
great
like
time to be
to your house.
like a
it's
tiny
a
brick and
great
mortar.
time to be McDonald's right
Yes,
now.
exactly. Because like the more I'm looking at this stuff, the more I'm thinking like those are the only things that stay open, and there's no sense in having a dining area
McDonald's,
anymore.
Walmart, Amazon.
Yeah, just
The
make
giant
decent,
ones.
just make decent food fast, like a taco truck or something like that, where it's like it's better than going to anywhere else, and you're gonna get it as a drive-through.
Welcome to Rocky Mountain Tattoos and Burgers.
Dude, like a food truck makes a lot of sense, other than the fact that people don't have a spot.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yes.
can't go to a spot and get the thing. Whereas that's one of the reasons that a brick and mortar makes a lot of sense. But if you can have like a food truck size stamp thing that just has 2 guys working at it and just churns out food,
You're just tweeting out where you're at.
yeah.
People come find you.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like a brick and mortar, people know you can go there anytime,
right.
right?
That's right.
Spark it.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna probably start.
I
food
think
truck
return
stand,
of drive-in,
mortar, brick and mortar.
like
Yeah.
in general,
Yeah, drive-in in
is
general.
definitely coming.
Yeah.
Drive-in theaters.
Because
sounds great. I
people
want more
still
of those.
people aren't
dude,
happy
so
with this.
much.
Like they're doing the at-home box office $20 movie rental. No one
$30
wants
bucks.
this shit.
Get
It's
outta
crazy.
Here.
No one wants it.
Get way.
People
way
want
outta
to go
here.
out.
Yeah.
So I think drive-in's gonna come back.
In a big way.
I'll be
Yeah.
honest. I'll be pirating it long before
Oh,
I'm paying
me too,
$30
but-
for a movie at home.
I think the problem is that we don't live in a spot that is conducive to anything outdoor.
Yeah.
yes, this is true.
Well, it's such a savage area.
Some of the
Yeah.
times it's 120 kilometer-hour winds.
Yep.
Some of the times it's minus 40.
Yep.
Some of the time it's an actual this close to being a tornado.
Some
Like-
days it's 40 degrees out.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we get really harsh swings.
Yeah, it makes it really tough to.
The spread
This
is
morning
wild.
it's sleet.